The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Package deal, not so fast, according to one Jets reporter. We'll talk about the latest with the Jets search for a GM and coach with Robbie Sabo of JetsXFactor.com. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started. Man, our Jets are primed to win another offseason, baby. Jets green each and every day. Will the playoff drought finally end? Who's the coach? Who's the GM? Who's the quarterback? At least we have Garrett Wilson. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinn Williams. Prepare to be underdogs. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show. Here we go. Welcome in, everybody. Click that like button and please subscribe to the channel. We are under 70 subscribers away from 41,000. So please subscribe if you haven't already. I will do a giveaway for whoever subscribes between now and when I hit 41K. If you subscribe to the channel, you're eligible to win an item from my merch store. So check it out at jakeasman.com. By the way, all Patreon members, reminder, discount code is now 20%, a 5% increase as a giant thank you for continuing to support me on Patreon, despite how bad the football team we support was in 2024. Joining us right now in his weekly spot on the show is the co-founder of JetsXFactor.com, Robbie Sabo. Robbie, happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, Jakey boy and all the Asmaniacs. That dude Sammy didn't play too well last night, did he?
No, and I wasn't rooting for it, but I did say yesterday on the show that I loved the Rams in the spot they were in last night. Yeah. Better coach, better quarterback, you're getting points. And the way that Darnold looked in that must-win, not must-win, but felt like a must-win game against the Lions.
Game. It's a playoff game.
You know, winner, you're the 1 seed. Loser, you're on the road in the playoffs. He didn't look ready. He looked rattled. And I saw Jet Sam Darnold again last night. He held onto the ball forever. He was inaccurate. Tough to see an amazing season end like that. And now I don't really know what you do if you're the Vikings. Do you pay Darnold? Do you franchise him? Do you just let him go? I mean, is McCarthy going to be healthy? A lot of questions for them with the quarterback.
I mean, I've been saying it. I thought we were getting way ahead of our skis, you know, the media, when I say we, in terms of, oh, they're definitely going to keep Darnold. How could they not keep Darnold? Be careful, man. You know, O'Connell with Cousins and how he's tanked since leaving. And my thing is, how much magic do you want O'Connell to pull off? I mean, that's what it comes down to me. He's done a tremendous job. And you know, Darnold gets credit too, obviously. McCown, who we'll talk about and get into, because I have strong thoughts about McCown and the Jets. But we saw it with the Jets. He's got all the raw physical traits, but it's between the ears. It's confidence. It's not believing in the throw, not trusting your eyes. And that if a quarterback is in that mold, forget about it. Nothing can work. And to overcome that is a very, very tricky thing. And who knows? I mean, if he was drafted right to O'Connell out of USC in terms of the draft, he might not have that. He might be, you know, a continuous Pro Bowl guy. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case.
Also, to be fair to Sam, the O-line didn't play well. They got put in a hole immediately. But, you know, they want to be paid a lot of money like he's going to get paid potentially. You got to play better. I mean, these last 2 weeks, they scored 9 total points?
Yeah, they didn't play well, but what I saw was a guy holding onto the ball just relentlessly, and you can't do that. And you got to get rid of it. I think that's the major takeaway for me. You have to be the field general in terms of making the right play with the ball, even if it's an intentional incomplete pass.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, last 2 weeks, you need to win these games. You scored 9 points against the Lions. You scored 9 points against the Rams. You're going home. So, I mean, I like Sam. I will continue to root for him. I don't understand why you see Jet fans online or in the chat like celebrating Sam playing poorly. Like, I mean,
No, that's silly. That's
on.
silly. That's as silly as the folks who said, "Hey, see, we should have never gotten rid of Darnold." Both are silly. Ultra ridiculous in my mind.
100%. All right, the latest with the coaching search. We're going to get your thoughts on your tiers of candidates. I know you're writing an excellent story that will be up on JetX this week about that. But I want to play you something that I heard yesterday. So Will Parkinson comes on this show every week. He has the podcast Turn on the Jets. And he had Rich Cimini on his podcast yesterday. And I found this to be very interesting. So a serious candidate for the Jets coaching opening is Vikings defensive coordinator Brian Flores, who the Jets have requested and are expected to speak to at some point later this week. The GM candidate that has been associated with a Brian Flores hire is former Colts GM and current Vikings assistant GM Ryan Grigson. That's been the story. Oh, it's Grigson and Flores as like a package deal. And that concerns me because I am very pro Brian Flores, but I don't want Ryan Grigson to be his GM. If that's the case, I don't want Flores because I think Grigson is that bad of a GM candidate. So Cimini yesterday basically dispelled the narrative that's been out there that it's a package deal for Grigson and Flores. Take a listen.
Yeah. So, and I fell into this trap as well. So, we're getting a lot of information, some of it's true. Some you have to sift through the garbage and, he's had a very active, people around him are, promoting him a lot and, contacting reporters. And so I think, sometimes we jump to conclusions based on that contact. In my own opinion, I want to stress that I do not think he would be a good hire for the Jets. He does not have a good drafting record. I mean, he ran Andrew Luck into premature retirement by not being able to build an offensive line around him. Now, he did have a good record in Indianapolis. They won a lot of games. They made the playoffs 3 times with, a generational quarterback prospect in Andrew Luck, who he picked. So he gets that credit on his resume. But, I mean, you or I could have picked Andrew Luck. And the rest of his drafting in Indianapolis was suspect at best. And the last couple of drafts in Minnesota, and he does have a lot of say in those Vikings drafts, have not been good. So I would be surprised if the Jets hired Grigson. I think he's trying to align himself with Brian Flores, who I think has a shot at the head coaching job. But I do not believe Grigson would be the best hire for the Jets, and I'd be surprised if they went in that direction.
Is Flores essentially just tied to Ryan Grigson? Because that would be a mistake on his part, I would assume.
No, I don't think so. I mean, just because they're on the same team, and there was a picture posted the other day of them talking to each other at practice with our Vikings reporter, Kevin Seifert, caught that. They're playing, Empire State of Mind, in the background, and made for a good tweet. But I don't think they're like totally connected. I think Grigson more so would like to align himself with Flores.
So I hear that, Robbie, and I think we could figure out where all this is coming from. Grigson's agent is basically trying to get his candidate a job and putting it out there. Oh, him and Brian Flores would be perfect together. You had Drew Rosenhaus go on McAfee last week and say whoever gets those guys together, they're going to kick ass. And it's like, stop it, man. His draft resume wasn't good. I understand his record is very good, but that was all Andrew Luck. His drafts were Isaac level. If you go back and look, he traded a first for Trent Richardson. Colts fans despise the guy. Andrew Luck quit football at age 29 because he was so beat up and he lost his love of the game. And I don't want to hear, well, Jake, the Jets have a good offensive line right now. Like,
it doesn't matter.
Stop it, man. So look, I like Brian Flores as a candidate, but it's a non-starter for me if he comes with Ryan Grigson. Hopefully the Jets see through that. And it's good to hear at least Cimini saying from what he's heard that it's not this package deal that's been perceived by some.
Yeah, Grigson worries me for the same reasons you just laid out. He didn't build from the inside out. It was, it was Jet-esque, in terms of what they did under, from 2011 till the time Douglas got here. Compare Grigson's drafts to Douglas's, for example. It's alarming. So in that regard, maybe there's the straggler Jets fans who remember that Grigson was the protagonist in Deflategate. I forgot who it was who picked the ball off He felt the ball was funny, and pretty much Grigson was the one that got the ball started in that whole Deflategate story. Hopefully Jets fans don't want him because of that. That would be silly. Yeah, but Grigson scares me. And, we talk about that package deal. What about the other package deal, which is Flores and McCown? There's reason I like Flores, but I have some pause about Flores, but Grigson much more so, for sure.
Let's talk about Flores. Your thoughts on him as a candidate, because right now, when I evaluate the options out there, and I evaluate just the people the Jets have spoken to or will speak to, Flores, to me, is very near the top of my list if they're going to hire someone with previous head coaching experience. I'll get into Mike McCarthy because at the bare minimum, and I've been on this since he was basically fired yesterday, I want the Jets to at least interview him. But Flores, we know they will interview. I think of the experienced guys left, he's probably the best candidate, assuming they don't talk to a John Gruden or they don't talk to Pete Carroll for whatever reason. But your thoughts on him as a possible option for the Jets?
He's in my upper tier for sure. It's him, it's Aaron Glenn, it's Josh McCown. And we'll get into McCown a little bit later. But Flores, I keep talking about two buckets. The leadership bucket, leadership accountability. They really need someone to come in and clean up the mess. And the other bucket is fitting today's game, today's modern league. The Jets haven't had that in a long time. Actually, they've never had that since the rules went pass heavy in 08, 09, and gradually until now. When Harrison and Wayne were getting mugged by Belichick in the playoffs. So Flores, I know he fits the leadership accountability bucket, but does he fit the other bucket? That's my concern with Flores. Was he too conservative in terms of offensive vision in Miami? Number one, that I'm concerned with. I would love Flores, and McCown is extremely appealing, and I wouldn't hesitate to make McCown the OC. I'd even consider McCown as the head coach because I want to bet on people. And to me, McCown is the most genuine person of any candidate here. I saw one of your callers. Who's the caller that criticized him for crying?
Gary,
my dude. The fact that McCown is so quick to emotions is such a positive. I can't even begin to describe. The leader needs to be genuine. No, you don't want him falling apart, at the first sign of, his hamburger falling on the floor, he loses his lunch and he starts crying. No, you don't want that. But if a guy is emotional, Mark Messier, who a lot of people call the best leader in the history of sports, is a crybaby. He cries at everything. McCown is so genuine. The first thing you have to start at is this dude genuine? Because if he's not, players see right through that and everything becomes a joke and it goes in one ear and out the other. So if I'm going to take a chance on McCown, I would hesitate. There would have to be plans in place. But to answer your overarching question, Jake, it's Flores, it's Glenn, it's McCown. And as much as Jets fans hate this, Nagy is not in the upper tier for me, but he's right behind it. He is compelling to me. Guy like Joe Brady, I love. Liam Cohen, they fit the modern vision, but are they leaders? I don't know. Same with Nagy to a degree, but those are the three: McCown, Glenn, Flores. How does it work? Right now, number one for me is probably Glenn as head coach, McCown as OC. That's the dream, but is that realistic? I don't know.
I think the question with someone like Flores is going to be his offensive coordinator, his offensive staff after what happened in Miami, 3 different OCs in 3 seasons. He's been connected to McCown, but would McCown leave to be an offensive coordinator, or would he look at it like, let me just stay in Minnesota and I'm eventually, with another year, maybe going to be able to just make the jump to be a head coach if I can't do it this go around? Like maybe I don't even need to be an OC to really start getting some head coach consideration. Like the Jets are interviewing him to be a head coach. Maybe he does actually wow the Jets in the room. So I'm with you. If you tell me Flores brings McCown, that would be awesome. That would excite me. I just don't know if McCown will take that job. He might be really happy continuing to learn from O'Connell and just stay there another year and maybe bypass having to be a coordinator altogether.
I think Glenn as head coach, McCown as OC is my dream. I don't know how realistic it is. Flores and McCown, that pairing is also there, and McCown as head coach altogether. Again, sometimes you have to bet on the individual. And what I see from McCown, he's been in great, he's learned from a lot of great people. And the hope with Flores, not to get off of McCown, but the hope with Flores and Glenn especially, I think he'll fit the modern vision well because he was taught well. He's been around Ben Johnson. He's been around Campbell, who's aggressive, and they play offense the right way in today's league. They don't just try to manage the chains. They try to get ahead of the chains. Yeah, they rush the ball, but forget identities. It's not about identities with today's modern offense. I keep hearing this thing on Twitter. We want the Jets to be a rushing team. No, we don't. Yes, we want the Jets to rush well, but there's a reason why the top 3 rushing teams in the league are the Ravens, the Commanders, and who's the other team? Scrambling quarterback. It's led by Hurts, Jaden Daniels, and Lamar Jackson. That's the reason why. It's a new game. You need to have a modern offense that takes what the D gives you. For example, last night, how did the Rams jump on Minnesota? Aikman even said it. Flores loves blitzing on early downs. So what do you do as an offensive coordinator? Do you try to establish your will, impose your will, establish your identity by running the ball, playing right into his hands? Or do you throw the ball on every down? McVay, the genius that he is, that he understands today's game, he threw the ball, 8 times out of the first 9 plays? And they right down the field they go. Flores challenges often, and then Flores adjusted, so kudos to him. I'm not trying to say he's a one-trick pony. That's just an example of the type of mind you want to bring in. And I think McCown understands that, and I think he's a leader as well. So he's rapidly climbing up my list.
I like McCown. You would have questions about his staff. You would have to have a staff that I think has at least one, if not more, former head coaches on it, because this is a guy that'd be making a huge jump. He's been a quarterback coach in the NFL for 2 years. That's it. Now, he played for basically every NFL team. He was essentially a player coach. I mean, we know how valuable he was to Sam Darnold that first year. The Jets paid Josh McCown $10 million to be the most expensive mentor in the NFL, and it felt like it was worth it. Like, it felt like he really had an impact on Sam. No one has a bad thing to say about McCown, so I like him. I just would be very concerned about the Jets taking a chance on a guy who has never been a head coach before. OC, love it. Would be incredible.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely worth it. Head coach, I would really want to know what his staff would look like. You'd be saying, yeah, we found our next Kevin O'Connell, next McVay. I understand. But who's on his staff? Who's the defensive coordinator? Can it be someone with previous head coaching experience? Can you get Ron Rivera to be the DC? Or can you get, Matt Eberflus to be the DC? I'm just thinking in terms of guys that have been head coaches before, because that'd be so important if you're going to swing big with that type of hire.
Understood. That is a huge caveat. And depending on what he says in the interview and what his plans are, will go a long way to that.
And he has a chance too, Robbie, because McCown, like, he's a great guy. He could go into the room and the owner, Christopher Johnson, swears by him. So he already has the trust of one of the guys making the hire. Everyone likes him. It's like, I could see him going in there and dominating that interview and being a real finalist for this.
Yes, and the main concern for me, again, the experience. He'll be learning on the job, which I wouldn't rule out automatically. I mean, listen, if Tomlin, the Steelers had no designs on hiring Tomlin when they interviewed him back in, 2007? He was a DC for 1 year. 1 year. He made an incredible jump, and they had no designs on hiring Tomlin, but he impressed them so much that they hired him. Andy Reid, going from, quarterbacks coach right to Philly. See how that's worked out. I mean, yeah, he was criticized in Philly for passing the ball too much, but the league eventually caught up to Reid as opposed to the other way around, and he's a legend now. I think at the end of the day, resumes are great. Resumes are tremendous, but, and what people say in the interviews are great, but the first thing I'm looking for, it's not everything, is genuineness. How genuine is that guy? And will I follow him into a foxhole? And will guys respect him? The only concern I'd have for McCown, yes, the experience in terms of would he ever get pushed around too much by his guys? I don't know. And that question lingers in the back of my mind.
So I like McCown a lot. And the only concern I would have, and I think Will Parkinson on the same podcast we referenced at the top with Rich Cimini yesterday made this point.
Yeah.
Everyone says McCown is such a good guy. I feel like to be a head coach, You got to be a douche at times, right? You got to be, you got to be, for lack of a better word, you got to be an a-hole at times, like you could be a player's coach, but players got to respect you. They can't walk all over you. And I think the Jets, they liked Robert Saleh. They liked Jeff Ulbrich, but I feel like those guys never could put their foot down and say, hey, the buck stops here. This is unacceptable. These penalties are terrible. Michael Clemens, you're benched for your actions. Like, I feel like McCown is so beloved and he's such a nice guy. I want to know, does he have that like a-hole quality, for lack of a better term, that you need to be a coach? And Robbie, you're a coach yourself, so you understand what I'm alluding to, right?
Exactly what I just said. My concern is, will he get pushed around?
Yep.
That's the ultimate question, and that's why my number one dream scenario is Glenn as head coach and McCown as OC. I don't know if it's possible, but that's it. But in terms of people, targeting people, I think Woody and the Jets have to get to work, get their business rolling in terms of getting McCown in there and doing what they're doing what they need to do with him.
Hit the like button if you're tuning in. We're talking to Robbie Sabo. We're talking about the latest, of course, with the search for a GM and coach. Rich Cimini saying on Will Parkinson's podcast that, contrary to popular beliefs, the idea that former Colts GM Ryan Grigson and Brian Flores are a package deal is not true, and that Brian Flores could absolutely be hired and he could be working with Mike Borgonzi or a different general manager that is not
Who's
Ryan
your top
Grigson.
GM choice? Who's your top GM choice right now?
I like Thomas Dimitrov of the guys they've spoken to with the previous GMing experience. And as far as guys that have not been GMs before, Borgonzi would be at the top of my list. I think he's got the best resume.
I think I think I'm in that same frame of mind. Probably Borgonzi number one, but admittedly, I don't have clear cut strong opinions yet on the GM.
Feels like second round of GM interviews could be this week, and they better move fast because Tennessee has already started their second round of GM interviews. They didn't interview 15 people like the Jets did. I think they only did 5 or 6, and they have invited 3 or 4 of them back. So, the Jets still have to talk to Brian Gain. They still have to talk to the Packers assistant GM. So that happens this week, but then I would start second round interviews right away.
I think on top of the individual profiles is thinking about the way Woody has gone about it. His first was, he took over in 2000. Was Terry Bradway there already, I think? And then it went to Mikey T, Idzik. Those are cap guys. Those are financial guys. And, McCagnon then took over, and then Douglas, who's a personnel guy, true scouting background. What does Woody want to do with the GM? I'm hearing the Philly guy, the young Philly guy mentioned as an analytics wizard.
Alec Hallerby.
Yeah, Hallerby. Jets have been, in the analytics game, for lack of a better word, in terms of the league recently. It's not like they've ignored it. In fact, the teams that have ignored it are the Chiefs, some of the better teams in the league. The Browns have been leading the way, Deep Podesta and what have you. So analytics are a great tool, but I wouldn't want to go down the analytics road in terms of the final front office boss. Let the analytics be the own department. In football, emotions are way too important. Analytics could take over a game like baseball because emotions play a part, but it's more one-on-one everywhere across the board. It'll never happen in football for so many different reasons. So I wouldn't want to go too crazy with the analytics. I'd prefer my GM to have more of a scouting background like a Douglas, just a guy who could identify coaching, though, this time around.
Couple things. One, we're doing another raffle after the success of yesterday. Congrats again to all our winners. If you won something, it's already been sent out. The full-sized helmet, the Super Bowl III ring, the merch items, Gusbuster umbrella. Congrats again to our winners. But now, the next raffle we're doing is a Garrett Wilson signed Jet helmet as the grand prize, plus another replica New York Jets Super Bowl III ring that you could put on your finger and feel like a world champion, Robbie. That's right. 56 years ago, 2 days ago, the New York Jets and Joe Willie Namath were world champions. So you can get a replica ring. And I'm also going to be giving away another, you guessed it, Aaron Rodgers jersey, because I have so many of them to give away because all these watch parties where we were going to do jersey giveaways got canceled because the Jets suck, and I wasn't banking on that. Maybe I should have in hindsight. But anyway, Rodgers jersey, plus another Gus Buster umbrella, and more items from my merch store. That's our next raffle. So if you want in, get the membership. The Garrett Wilson helmet is the best prize I think we've done yet. Sten has one membership in because he hit the join button and became a member. The way to enter the raffle, you could send in a $20 super chat. That gets you 5 entries, or you gift a membership. And for as many as you gift, you get that many entries in the Asmaniac raffle. Fiore with a super chat. With respect, our franchise has been a joke forever. We need a coach who is an adult in the room and gets us back to respectability. McCarthy's that guy. Everyone else is a lotto ticket. I'm glad you said this, Fiore. I was going to go there next and then saw you had this super chat. I want the New York Jets to interview Mike McCarthy. You can't sit here and tell me that you don't want to interview McCarthy because, he's been around a while and it'd be his third head coaching job. Stop it. If you're going to interview Matt Nagy and Arthur Smith and consider them for a second chance, or Steve Spagnuolo and consider him for a second chance, and even Rex, who I love personally, and give him what would be a third chance as a head coach and second time around with your franchise,
who no one else is interviewing
coaching in a decade, exactly, then you have to, at the bare minimum, interview Mike McCarthy. If you're not going to talk to Pete Carroll for some reason or John Gruden, please, for the love of God, talk to Mike McCarthy, who won 12 or more games, 3 straight years. The only time they didn't have a winning record is when his franchise quarterback was hurt in 5 years there. I mean, please, I'm not telling you he's the best coach in the league, but he's an offensive guy. He can hire a good staff. If he can handle Jerry Jones and the pressure of being the Cowboys coach and still thrive, he can handle Woody Johnson and the Jets. Please give the guy an interview. Give him a chance. I'm begging the Jets to at least consider this.
They should absolutely bring in McCarthy. And turning over every stone, casting a wide net, Tannenbaum, 30-13. How have they not interviewed Carroll and Gruden in that, under those, structures? Like, how, if you're turning over every stone, how is Gruden and, Carroll and some of these other guys not interviewed? McCarthy absolutely should be in there in terms of saying it has to be an adult in the room and McCarthy, no matter what. That's too far, man. That's, you're going way too crazy. I mean, again, I keep saying it. Glenn as head coach and McCown as OC is my number one choice right now. And to tell me Glenn, when you watch him in press conferences and see how he speaks and how he thinks about the game and his players and how he adjusts mid-game, and the fact that he's been under Campbell in that system in Detroit where they play the right way towards today's vision, today's modern game, you can't throw that out the window just because he doesn't have prior head coaching experience. Again, you have to look at the person. It's not about resumes are important, obviously, but it's just like the analytics topic. It's a tool. It's secondary. The person is number one. So McCarthy absolutely should be in the mix. No question about it. Should not be ruled out. But don't say it has to be him absolutely, no matter what.
100%. I saw this comment here from Curly. I laughed. He's the most negative Jet fan that watches the show every day. Yeah. Because the 33rd team is ensuring we finish in 33rd place.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
Look, I'm going to give the Jets the benefit of the doubt as far as the hiring process until we find out who they hire. But yeah, I just think if you're going to tell me you're doing this wide-ranging search, and to this point, you've spoken to Rex Ryan and Ron Rivera, and you're going to talk to, the Steve Spagnuolos of the world and some of these other guys, Mike Loxley, which is the biggest joke I've ever seen. You have to talk to Carroll. You have to talk to Gruden. And you definitely have to talk to Mike McCarthy, who you spoke to in 2019. And I got to read an old tweet from Connor Hughes saying, well, the Jets did their research in 2019 and they weren't that impressed. They hired Adam Gase. I don't care what research they did. They don't know what they're doing. If that's what the regime then decided to do, talk to Mike McCarthy, for the love of God.
Hey, listen, research, it's not research when you're getting opinions on McCarthy, from within Green Bay after he's already out. I'm sure it's not limited to just that, but there has to be more there. And there were a lot of reporters, a lot of media people, not just with the Jets, who were actively pushing Gase over McCarthy at the time. I remember I was old enough to remember that. Like, Gase was applauded as a hire over McCarthy. And what I could say about Gase is he worked his ass off. Even though he didn't have the results and he wasn't the best leader, he was working his ass off at the facility, which is kind of the opposite to Saleh. So,
Well, I don't know if you know this, but Adam Gase was Kyle Shanahan before Kyle Shanahan.
And Jet fans are clueless. I mean, they're dopes. They don't know anything. This is a really good hire. Gase is a great coach. Okay, Adam Gase is Kyle Shanahan before Kyle Shanahan. Gase is a great coach.
You know what I was thinking of, too, as I'm watching Sam Darnold last night? That they were like, let's bring in Adam Gase to try and get Sam to the next level. And then, as we look back on Gase's time and that 2020 season, which was the worst season of my lifetime, I was alive for the Kotite years, but it was too young to remember.
Mm-hmm.
The worst season I've ever watched, right? Every snap of every play from that year, where after 4 games in, I was rooting for the Jets to lose every game, which I'm not a tank guy, but that year I was, because I wanted Trevor Lawrence and I knew there was no hope with Adam Gase as the coach. I wanted them gone. But now it's not even like we could say, well, at least that year got us this player. That year got you Zach Wilson, who set the franchise back and ultimately led to the demise of this current regime that has now been fired and we're trying to replace. So the impact of that season, you can't even say, well, at least it got us that. Like, Adam Gase got the Jets nothing. It got them Saleh and Douglas, and it ultimately failed miserably with Aaron Rodgers coming here and not even him being able to fix this nonsense. So I'm just so disgusted. That's why I got so mad yesterday, Robbie, when I see this tweet from Connor Hughes. Oh, in 2019, the Jets did research on McCarthy, and they came away not impressed. These people hired Adam Gase.
Yeah, let me give you a ray of light. The one thing Gase got us was a talented roster because he got Douglas in. They have a talented roster and they could turn it around right away. But I'm trying. You're on the ledge, and I'm trying to help you off of it. That's all.
I mean, Kotite got the Jets. Your guy Wayne Corbett. That's it.
And Parcells, he got him Parcells for
I guess. But
yeah, I hear you, dude. It's McCarthy. Listen, I've never been a McCarthy hater. I love him. They should interview him. He should be right in the mix.
He's a good
question
coach.
about it.
Look, I understand he hasn't won in the playoffs enough, right? He's had Aaron Rodgers. He only won 1 Super Bowl with him. I get it. He obviously didn't go far with the Cowboys. He only won 1 playoff game there in 5 years. I understand that. The Jets can't even think about winning a Super Bowl right now. The goal should be get to the playoffs, end the playoff drought, get your franchise stabilized back to respectability, and figure out the rest from there. You can't worry about getting to the top of the mountain when you're in hell right now. You're not even above ground. You got to get out of hell first, and then we could worry about the climb to the mountaintop, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, their only goal is to find the people, the person, head coach, the people with the GM that will take them to the right place in the future. And it could be as early as next year. It could be years from now. That's their only goal. Find the right leaders. And that's all I care about. That's all they should care about. Listen, McCarthy started, I think, with KC in the early 90s. That was his baptism, for lack of a better word. Joe Montana was there, so he was around Joe Montana as a kid when he started in the NFL. Yeah, definitely then Green Bay, and I don't know if he was in other spots, but he's been a hell of a coach, and he needs to be interviewed, no question about it.
100%. By the way, I was thinking about some possible OC candidates for Josh McCown. How about Doug Peterson, Super Bowl winning coach, played with McCown or coached McCown with the Eagles. There's a connection there. I know that Doug Peterson was basically grooming McCown to go into coaching, would allow him to have input in offensive meetings. He was basically a player quarterback coach to who was on that team. I guess it was still Wentz and maybe Nick Foles in that 2019 Eagles season, or maybe it was just Wentz at that point. Either way, McCown, remember he had to play in that playoff game. It was his last ever NFL game. Doug Peterson, if they actually were to hire McCown as the head coach, he'd be my choice for the offensive coordinator, or at least on the offensive staff for sure.
Yeah, and more importantly, like you said, who would the DC be? And again, I'm seeing comments, you want to hire a guy with no experience. No, again, McCown's not my number one option. But in terms of a person, you got to be all over it. It's the teams, the franchises who identify the right people, the right leaders, are the teams that are rewarded in the long run. And Philly did it with Andy Reid, having never been a coordinator before. Where is Andy Reid right now? I mean, there are so many examples. Tomlin was only a DC for 1 year. You got to identify the person, have a process, and understand what's important in terms of getting through to players respectability, genuineness, and go from there. But again, yeah, Glenn, I think Glenn's still my guy with hopefully McCown being the OC.
Yeti writes in, I remember when McCown picked up that Russian premier by the throat and screamed, I fight to win for me. Been a fan ever since.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. He's got Drago, man. You could have if he was ever hired, you could have so much fun with that, with the photoshops. That's another reason why I'm hired. Like,
I'm in.
Dude,
I'm sold.
I must break you. Who would be Apollo? Was it Apollo?
Yeah, I mean, he murdered Apollo.
Yeah. I forgot my mind was going blank. I was thinking of Chubbs in Happy Gilmore. I couldn't. Yeah, who would be that? And who would be Apollo in that scenario? That's a good question.
Who's Carl Weathers for the New York Jets?
Yeah. Who would be Rocky? Rogers?
Is he back?
Yeah, I don't know.
Doesn't feel like it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
A couple memberships to shout out here. Thomas Roseman is in the raffle for 2 entries. He wants a Garrett Wilson signed helmet. How about you? I spent good money on this, baby, for the Asmaniacs. Let's go.
It's the Asmaniac membership raffle. For every membership gifted, you receive 1 ticket entered in the raffle to win epic prizes.
Shout out to everyone who supports the channel. Some super chats here for Mr. Sabo. Bo writes in, we should take Robbie's blueprint and run with it. Of all the mornings, he's hitting on all cylinders. This morning is the one. Bravo.
Dude, it was those boosts of confidence I got last week. Remember? Yeah, I was sluggish. It was slow. It takes me hours to wake up in the morning, and a couple Asmaniacs touched my heart last weekend, or last Tuesday, I should say. So, thank you. I tip my cap.
Ladies and gentlemen, smash that like button. The great Robbie Sabo is joining us, and I want to share this too, Robbie. It's Jet X Day on the Jake Asman Show. Co-founder Robbie Sabo, weekly segment every Tuesday right now. This afternoon, Michael Nania back on the show, the other founder of JetsXFactor.com. Folks, if you don't check out JetX every day, you're missing out. Download the app right now. Just do it. If you want to support Robbie, if you want to support fair and objective Jets coverage, because you guys always complain about this beat reporter, this outlet, this, that. That's why we bring you Robbie every week, and Andrew Fialco and Connor Long, everyone over, Joe Blewett, everyone, Rivka over at JetX. I'm missing more, I'm sure, too. So download the app. I even have a promo code for bonus content over at JetX, a JetX membership, promo code Asman. Robbie could tell you all about that.
Yeah, man. Sign up. Just find the membership in the top, in the menu, and type in Asman. Asman or Asman. ASMAN. Not proctologist, just regular MD, and get a nice deal. Once they hire the right head coach, there's going to be a lot of film on schemes. Who it is, whether it's defensively, offensively, it doesn't matter. So a lot of film is coming this January, this month, and in February, of course, too.
Super chat from Ryan. He's been an Asmaniac for 15 months. By the way, if you become a channel member, you get a free super chat every month. I have to update our channel emojis because I want to thank everyone for gifting memberships. We can add another channel emoji, but I need help from the chat. What should our next Asmaniac emoji be for all channel members? Let me know. Ryan writes in, McCarthy has developed a quarterback, turned around 2 teams, Green Bay 4-12 before him, Dallas 8-8, proven winner, playoffs almost all the time, won a Super Bowl. He would end the drought. Look, if they hire, let's say, Aaron Glenn over McCarthy, I get it. I really want someone with experience, but I'm going to give it a chance. I'm not going to go crazy. Like, I would understand the thought process. I would. I just feel like, given where the Jets are at, needing someone with experience, you have Flores out there who has a decent resume, but not a large sample size, and there's some questions about how it ended in Miami. And you have Mike McCarthy, who, objectively speaking, maybe he's not the best coach in the league, but is by far and away better than anything the New York Jets have had since Bill Parcells. You can't even argue that. You can't look at the guy's resume. Every year the guy wins here when his quarterback's healthy. He didn't win enough in the playoffs, but once again, Jet fans, we can't think about the playoffs and winning a Super Bowl right now. We're in hell. You got to get out of hell. You got to get to respectability first. You can't start climbing the mountain until you get out of being underground. This franchise is underground right now. No winning seasons in a decade. No playoff appearance in 14 seasons. longest in professional sports. You haven't won a division title in 20 years. You have to get out of hell before you could talk about winning a Super Bowl someday.
Yeah, and I wonder, with how polarizing Rodgers is, are the anti-Rodgers Jets fans not in love with the idea of McCarthy because of just that?
I don't know. I mean, and honestly, like, I want McCarthy, and it has nothing to do with maybe Rodgers being back in that scenario. 100%. I just think he's a good coach.
What about Brian Cornelius Schottenheimer? The reunion, taking him over to the Jets too. Fine. Listen, man, your experience point, 100% agree, wholeheartedly agree. It's a major factor. This is a 1997 Leon Hess throwing his hands up in the air saying, Bill, show me how to win. Show me how to win. And I will say this off the beaten path a little bit with Tannenbaum. You know how critical I was of them hiring the company as opposed to just Spielman and Tannenbaum. But to their credit, generally speaking, I would not like this wide-ranging turn over every stone interview process. I think it's silly. Maybe it makes sense in this case because Mikey T is looking at Woody and saying, hey, it's not the worst thing in the world for us to get the most input from as many people as possible. So I'll say that. And having said that, McCarthy better be interviewed.
And I know for a fact that Aaron Rodgers and him still have a very good relationship, contrary to what is the perception. I mean, people just don't want to acknowledge that too. Bang Mateo checks, and I haven't read it yet. I'm going to assume it's negative. Here we go. Robbie McVay and KOC coached for 10 years before getting a head coaching job. McCown has coached for 2 years total. Not the same. McCown not qualified. You should know better.
He squashed me. That's a Mortal Kombat KO fatality.
Yeah, but hold on a second. Bang Mateo. McVay and KOC, like, it's different circumstances. McVay was never a player. I understand KOC was, but he didn't have the distinguished career and play for as many teams and be in as many systems as McCown had. How many years did Kevin O'Connell even play? I know he was with the Jets and they cut him on Hard Knocks in 2010. But like,
yeah, I mean, look, he's ignoring the fact that I keep saying my desired goal is Glenn as head coach, McCown as OC. He's ignoring that for some reason. But as a person, I'm trying to preach the right process in terms of identifying the right leaders. That's all. Like, you can't. Not everything is statistics. Not everything is on paper in terms of black and white. It's about genuineness and about characteristics people have. And when I look at McCown, he brings the right stuff to the table. Obviously, he's not perfect. There are many, many questions with any candidate, but he brings the right stuff to the table. And if I'm Woody, I do everything I can to get him on the coaching staff one way or the other.
O'Connell appeared, I think, in 2 career games with the Patriots back in 2008. He was a practice squad player with the Lions, Jets, Dolphins, Jets again, and Chargers. He was drafted in 2008 out of the league. By 2012, began his coaching career with the Browns in 2015 as a quarterbacks coach. I mean, realistically, it's not the same thing.
Was quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
His ascension was quick. I mean, is it abnormal for him to be hired as a head coach at this stage of the game? Yes. Same with Houston when he almost got the job. What was it, a couple years ago before D'Amico? So yeah, it's hugely abnormal. But sometimes when you take those chances, a la Philly with Andy Reid, you're rewarded because you bring in the right individual and you get that person. What you're saying right now eliminates any possibility that your franchise could be first on somebody, is what you're saying. That's what you're saying. You're eliminating any possibility that your franchise could be ahead of the curve and grab a guy before he becomes appealing to every other NFL franchise. That's not the way to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of yesterday's raffle, Super Bowl III replica ring, Jeffrey R., is dropping a 20 bomb. Are you kidding me?
It's the Asmaniac membership raffle. For every membership gifted, you receive 1 ticket entered in the raffle to win epic prizes.
Safe to say, Jeffrey wants a chance at the Garrett Wilson signed helmet, baby. He's in the raffle for 20 entries. It's raining memberships. Robbie, grab your umbrella. Grab your Gustbuster.
I got it.
Do you have it with you?
No, it's I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere in here.
Well, Steve Asman sent you one. I got mine right here because it's raining memberships. I got 20 names to read. Here we go. Johnny Boy, The Real Beats, B Show 58, Jet Life, Christian Medina, K Stacks, John Eric, Kevin Lubecki, Caretaker Franco, Nick Glowowski, William McLean, Frank Costantino, Michael Thomas, Nicholas Florillo, WC, D-Boar, Jet Buff John, Matt West, The Vito Show, Daniel Scavino, all receiving channel memberships from the great Jeffrey R. Thank you, Jeffrey. And you did get a Gustbuster, Robbie. Steve Asman wanted you to have one.
I got it. And I'm telling you, that's going to be my golf umbrella. I'm going to need that sucker pretty soon.
The Lup Man, he's delivered a 5-spot for the people. Are you kidding me? Look what is happening here.
It's Jets, Jets. I love Fireman Ed, too.
Tommy Clifford, Mitch Mann, Cody Ricky, Jose Torres, and Sean Boyle, all receiving channel memberships. And I see Luppy wrote, I got my Gustbuster. That's right. Luppy won a Gustbuster in one of our recent raffles. For those tuning in, raffle number 11 was yesterday. We've done 11 raffles in about a month and a half. We're doing potentially the Garrett Wilson signed helmet raffle next week if we get up to 300 entries. We'll cap it at that, but we'll see. I might add some more prizes. We'll go a little longer.
Jake, breaking news.
Is there?
Yeah, Rosen, I think. Oh, no, I'm sorry. You might have seen it already. Rosenblatt, they will virtually interview Flores and McCown this week. Okay.
Yes, that came out earlier.
A couple of hours ago, yeah.
Yep. I said that at the beginning. They're going to talk to him this week. So that's
dude, I'm a guy who sometimes doesn't listen. So
it's okay.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about Dre? Dre, we got to get you back on the show calling in from the office. I mean, that's when order will be restored. But how about a 5-spot of channel memberships from our guy Dre?
Money.
We're paying the bills this morning. Robert Sanchez, Shane Heslin, Charlie D, C. Gamara, Anthony Moore, all receiving channel memberships. Dre is in the raffle. We know Dre has to be in the raffle for a Garrett Wilson signed item because Dre predicted 28 touchdowns for Garrett this year. He was only 21 off, Robbie.
Only 21 off. What is Yeti saying? Robbie is like, hey, Jeffrey R. I got a show as well if you want to check it out. Who the hell is Jeffrey R?
Jeffrey R is the guy that just gifted 20 channel memberships.
I got a show as well. Nah, man, I got no show. We got a website, mofo. Jake does the shows. We do the website.
JetX, baby. JetsXFactor.com. It's JetX Day on the channel. We got Nani at 4 p.m. for those just tuning in. Quick reminder. This show's available in audio form. Apple or Spotify. Search The Jake Asman Show. If you could help me out, everyone, and leave a 5-star review. Subscribe. Spread the word. I met a listener at the Knicks game last night that didn't realize the show was in audio form. So I'm doing my best to promote it. Big Jet fan. He's like, I've seen your stuff on YouTube. And I'm like, man, I'm like, what other shows do you listen to? And he listed a bunch of podcasts. And I said, hey, the show's in audio form too. And he had no idea. So tell your Jet fans in your life that maybe they can't watch YouTube every day, but if they want to listen back to the show that you're watching now, you could do so on Spotify or Apple. So check it out. Also, by the way, Robbie, last night, I wish there was video of this. You guys are going to have to believe me. I'm an honorable man. T-shirt cannon at the Knicks game. Garrett Wilson would have been proud with this snag I made. I got a ovation in my section for how clean this catch was off the T-shirt cannon. It was fantastic. I got to call up Dolan and be like, can I please get security footage of this? Because it was tremendous.
I got to be honest. This is kind of like the story, when you're growing up as a kid and this one nerdy dude says, oh yeah, I got a girlfriend. She lives in a different state. Yeah, sure, buddy. And she only visits on weekends. That's kind of how this story is playing out to me in my ears.
Oh, it was a great catch. My friend Rachel, she'll back me up. I'll have to get her to call in on the show. She witnessed it.
Yeah, Rachel, you just make sure he's paying you enough.
What do we got here? More super chats here. Let's see. Tyrone checks in. Get McCarthy. He has his quarterback and wide receiver and Aaron and Devontae and Lazard and Garrett. Let's go win a Super Bowl. I don't know if all those guys would be back in this scenario. It is interesting, though. Has there ever been a head coach and quarterback combo that have won 2 Super Bowls, but on 2 separate teams? Like, obviously, we've had coaches win Super Bowls with different franchises, like multiple times. Like, you've seen that before. Like,
but have you ever had a coach win a Super Bowl with the quarterback on two different teams? Does that ever happen?
I don't think a head coach ever has.
Okay, so a quarterback definitely hasn't. What about a head
Quarterback.
coach?
See, okay, so head coach, the closest someone's come is Holmgren with Seattle, and they got robbed against Pitt. Quarterback, man, Kurt Warner came. Has it happened with quarterback? Someone should have this comment right away. I don't think so. That would be a wild. And hey, man, it's not impossible. Eventually, it's going to happen. But remember, everyone talks about the Super Bowl, the modern history. No one counts NFL championships before it. But still, it's tough. I don't think so.
V-Man with a super chat. Glenn being under Dan Campbell must have picked up aggression.
Yes, it has to. And, Flores too, to a certain degree. Like, I opened up the show, questioning Flores in terms of how conservative he was in Miami, and he was. So I'm worried about that. But maybe being under O'Connell, poaching from Minnesota and Detroit is not a bad move, in my opinion. Even Borgonzi with KC. So it is, admittedly, I'm still trying to sort everything out. Yes, McCown is shooting up my list. Aaron Glenn is still number 1. Flores is still number 2, but it's tricky. It is really tricky. I just hope Jets fans are ready for Matt Nagy as the next head coach of the Jets.
Iconical wear. McCarthy has the tools in Dallas and falls short.
You just ignored the Matt Nagy proclamation.
I did. I can't fathom it. I don't want it. I'm good. Gase 2.0 feels like.
Yeah, it's a tricky one.
It's going to be tough for me to ever be excited about the season coming up if it's Matt Nagy. I'll root for him, just like I rooted for Gase.
It's not a good sign. I say this with Rex. Rex, season after season, got worse. Same thing with Nagy in Chicago. And Nagy had Vic Fangio that first year, the only great year they had, other than 8-8 or 6-10. I think they won 12 games. Great defense. Eddie Jackson. I think Mac was there still. So we had Fangio for that 1 year. Once Fangio left, they weren't as good. So I hear you. Nagy, he's just semi-intriguing to me in terms of being further down the list. In other words, I don't think he's as bad as Jets fans feel, but he is nowhere near the top of my list.
Super chat from Jesus Jerry. Is Tomlin worth a crack at? I'm done talking about this because the fact that there's some Jet fans that would not be in on it blows my mind. Yeah.
Who?
More than you think. V-Man being one of them.
V-Man. Listen.
Dude, I would trade a ridiculous amount for Tomlin. You wouldn't have to, but like the idea, I don't even know if it would take the 7th overall pick, Robbie. But in a draft that is not star-studded, the idea I wouldn't trade that for a guy in 18 years who has never had a losing season, a guy who is exactly what they need as far as a disciplinarian, culture changer, players respecting him. Like, I understand he's come up short in the playoffs in recent years. I get it. Maybe it's gotten stale in Pittsburgh and stagnant, and they move on like Philadelphia did with Andy Reid, like the Patriots did with Belichick. But the idea that the Jets, who in their history, I believe have made the playoffs 14 total times, would not be in on a head coach who's never had a losing season and has made the playoffs, 12 times in 18 years, is insane behavior to me. Insane.
It's wild. It's ridiculous. I'll try to be fair to them by saying this. There's a route where you can call him overrated because of Pittsburgh's setup. It seems like the magic of Tomlin could be part, and maybe even mostly, the way Pittsburgh is set up, where they set up their head coach for success. But having said that, Tomlin has already gotten to the point where he's gained that experience and he's the real deal. So you take him in a heartbeat if you're the Jets. Now, if I was trading entire organizational structures with Pitt for Tomlin, I would trade the next 5 Fs.
My God, it's Mike Tomlin.
Yeah,
it's Mike Tomlin.
You would take him in a heartbeat. It's absurd. It really is.
Richard Wacker, Ben Johnson of the Raiders. Thoughts. Before I read this, I want to call out Richard Wacker, Dick Wacker. I'm leaving 2 stars. Jake ignoring super chats. Jake, you ignored my super chat. Richard, I will personally refund you your $1.99 if it bothers you that much that I'm going in order and trying to have a conversation here with Mr. Sabo. But anyway, Ben Johnson to the Raiders. Thoughts. Well, that has not happened. Do I think it could happen? I suppose. I don't know why he'd want to go there when there's no obvious path to a quarterback, and he's in a division with Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Sean Payton, and Bo Nix, Justin Herbert, and Jim Harbaugh. I don't personally see why Ben Johnson, who's been so picky, would choose that gig, but he is a candidate for that job.
Yeah, you gotta. I don't know where he's getting that from. I mean, is there something we're missing with Ben Johnson to the Raiders?
I don't know. He's just asking about it. He also says, I'm messing with you. Dick Whacker, I appreciate the support. Let's see. Oh, Bo. Thank you, Bo. Just seeing this now. How about a 5-spot of memberships? Hit the V-Man.
Completely fell asleep and let himself get bitch slapped by them. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's about to tie Marvin Lewis. Most consecutive playoff losses. Let me finish, okay? Are you...
Thank you, V-Man.
Is he Lagerfeld two seats away? Which presser was that? Was that for Saleh or Douglas?
I think it was Rodgers' introductory press conference.
Oh, it was Rodgers? Wow, it was more recent. Jeez.
Let's see. Super chat from, or 5 memberships from Bo. Here's who got him. Pat Riley. What's up, Pat? Sammy Montorenti. Oh, wow. Matt Feldman and Gavin Tarabaka. Definitely botched that one. Those are the 5 people who just got memberships. Bo, you're in the raffle for 5. Garrett Wilson signed helmet. Our next raffle giveaway. Bang Mateo. Robbie, please tell us how many years Andy Reid coached before getting a head coaching job in Green Bay. Reid and Tomlins are not the same as McCown, who has no experience.
Okay. I mean, what do you want me to say? So you eliminate McCown right away because he hasn't coached enough years? Is that your
he's anti-McCown
proclamation? I mean, that's silly, but okay. Reid was in the league for about, I don't know, I would say 12, 15 years prior to getting the head coaching job with Philly, with Green Bay, around Favre, doing that whole thing. Cool. But again, if you want to be the real deal when identifying individuals, you don't eliminate people based on that. You don't eliminate people. You just don't do that. And if you do that, then you narrow your options and you're just way behind the league in terms of exploring possibilities. And, you'd fit right in with what the Jets have done the last 14 years.
Leon wrote in earlier, the Jets aren't interviewing McCarthy, Kingsbury, Cohen, Monken because like Ben Johnson, they have no interest. I could tell you for a fact, McCarthy's interested in the job. Rich Cimini reported that yesterday, that he's heard McCarthy would be open to the job. So that's just not true. I mean, Kingsbury, Cohen, and Monken maybe said no. We know Ben Johnson didn't have any interest. Fine.
Right.
But I mean, McCarthy definitely would be interested. I know people just assume McCarthy's a lot to get one of these jobs. We all said that about Belichick last year and Vrabel, and they were shut out. So you never know. I think McCarthy would definitely take an interview with the Jets and be open to the job.
I do too. And again, they need to make it happen unless McCarthy has no interest, but I trust Cimini. And also with the experience thing. I mean, how long was Saleh in the league before getting a head coach? 2 decades. Sometimes the experience is a negative sign because the guy has been lingering around as an assistant and he just happens to be in the right place at the right time with the talent at his disposal, and he looks like a superhuman. So experience is not always positive. It's preferred, especially in this situation for the Jets, but don't ever paint yourself into a corner with that regard.
100%. Look, I'm open to a lot. You can't sell me on, Mike Loxley, Ron Rivera, Arthur Smith.
Agreed.
You got to give McCarthy an interview. I mean, if you're not going to interview Gruden or Carroll, you have to interview Mike McCarthy. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Agreed. And as the more this sinks in, McCarthy might be, I might be discussing McCarthy right alongside the other guys. It's just that it's so new that I haven't really conceptualized it, I don't think. But yeah, they got to get him in ASAP.
Dre with a super chat. Robbie, who's more likely to be who's more likely to be able to change the culture of the Jets, the coach or the GM? Where does the change start?
The coach.
I agree.
The coach is 100 times more important based on where they are because they have talent. Douglas, he missed in a lot of ways in terms of identifying the coach, in terms of, sounding the alarm bells once it was known that, hey, the coaching is not up to par, not up to what we need. the front office, it has to be a CEO type. Like, what started this downfall, this personnel downfall, the organizational downfall? It was bringing Idzik in and then pairing Rex with Idzik. Idzik is a financial guy. It even started with Mikey T and Rex, if we're going to be fair. But they were financial guys. They didn't have the final say was coming from salary cap guys as opposed to a CEO type or a scouting type. So where they go with that type of GM is going to be critical to me. Regardless, they're not a Green Bay. They're not a Pittsburgh. They don't have the structures, the extra structures in place to support the GM. So the GM has to be, his own man and the CEO and stand strong. But the coach matters so much more to the Jets GM as it does to another franchise's GM, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Super chats. Cut the line. V-Man writes in, actually, Weeb Eubank is the only coach to win titles with two different teams. One title in the pre-Super Bowl era with the Colts and Super Bowl III with the Jets.
It's crazy. I mean, that is insane.
He's the only one?
That's insane over the 100 years, if that's true.
I mean, I'm thinking about it. I don't think a coach has ever won two Super Bowl titles as a head coach.
Paul Brown never did with Cincy. We know what he did with Cleveland. Yeah, Bill Walsh, no. Noel, no. It's Landry, obviously, no. Lombardi got started late. So, no, I think he's right.
He was the head coach when he won those, the NFL title?
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, it's crazy. But once again, I can't be concerned about winning a Super Bowl and all that. Like,
no, I don't think
it's get the franchise on track first.
Yeah, I don't think that's a disqualifier whatsoever. Like, it's the same thing as, never draft a USC quarterback because USC quarterbacks don't work out.
Right.
Silly.
Like, do you think Denver regrets hiring Sean Payton because, like, history will say that he's not going to win a Super Bowl there? Like, you can't think of it that way.
Or Parcells with the Jets. Parcells not only turned the team around, he set them up for success under the Herm regime, like the Herm era. Herm shouted out Parcells so often during his 4 years or 5 years. I forget what it was. It was the right thing to do, but Herm knew it was an established culture with great personnel on the come up. So it matters. It really matters. And Parcells, there would be some foolish Jets fans who would say they regret Parcells being hired, but that's silly. Like, that was one of the best moves they ever made.
Kyle Clifton likes Matt Nagy, so he wants you to know that he appreciates it.
Starting some trouble, Kyle Clifton.
He's an offensive guy, and their offenses were not good in Chicago. Like, Trubisky never got better. Like, even I don't know. Bears fans, the resume, I admit, is not as bad as the perception, but I really don't want Matt Nagy. I think if we're going to go down the Matt Nagy route, then just give me Rex Ryan if we're going to do that.
Or Joe Brady.
I'd try Brady before I try Nagy. I think I would.
And
I want the experienced coach, but I don't want the experience to come at the expense of giving someone else a chance if they're offensive minded. Like, I'd go McCown before I'd go Nagy, to be honest. And McCown's lack of experience is a concern of mine, but I don't think Nagy's going to be a great coach. So I'll take my chance on finding the next Kevin O'Connell.
Nagy, I like more in terms of offense, the evolution, fitting today's modern game. I have a lot of questions about his leadership, that bucket. I have a lot of questions about leadership, authentic, stuff in that regard, because Reid does a lot of the heavy lifting, and you can't act like Andy Reid elsewhere. You have to be different. You have to do your different thing. The way he handled Trubisky, I thought, was pretty damn good, because Trubisky was always awful.
The first year it was, and then he never got better.
No, he never got better. But again, I think it was a lot like O'Connell with Darnold. Darnold's not the real deal, with lack of a better word or better phrase, descriptor. But Nagy's nowhere near the top of my wish list.
Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. We're talking to Robbie, Sabo. Huge audience right now. Almost 600 people watching this live. Thank you to everyone who supports the show. If you want to support me, join my Patreon, get access to the Discord, get your name in our intro, get some bonus shows, 20% off merch items, patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. Huge shout out to Joseph Rumpelo, Matthew Ryland, and Dirty Raygun for being our 3 most recent Patreon subscribers. Thomas says, McCarthy and McCown fighting Irish for the Jets. I don't think McCown would be on McCarthy's staff, but I could be wrong. Who knows?
Yeah, do they have any ties? I don't think so, right? I mean, I know
Notre Dame national title game on Monday.
Dude. Hey, I'm looking forward to it. I just hope. And listen, Freeman, man, how great is that dude? Marcus Freeman, such a hell of a coach. I respect the hell out of him. Can't wait for it. They have to come out in a way that protects against getting just absolutely bombarded from the start, because Ohio State goes for the throat immediately. And how Freeman handles that in terms of, do they send pressure defensively? Do they lay back? Is really fascinating to me. It'll be crucial. Ohio State's first couple drives.
Richard Wacker. Jake, what is the best Chipotle order? Richard, I'll tell you when you're older, buddy. I'll tell you when you're older. Bang Mateo. Robbie, easy question. Can McCown coach and call plays?
Yeah, I mean, why not?
What do you think he would be the play caller if he was a head coach, considering he's never been a play caller? Maybe he'd be. Maybe he wouldn't be.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, Saleh. Everyone expected Saleh to be the defense play caller upon coming in, and I took it as a positive that he said, "No, I'm not going to call plays," and he brought in Olbrich and let someone else do it. I thought that was a positive in terms of ego. But other guys do it. Reed has done it for years, a million guys. So yeah, sure, McCown could do it if the Jets deem him and he really has the qualities to be ready as a head coach right now, which is a big question mark, obviously.
100%. I mean, not my like number one choice, but I'm more open to McCown than some of the other names they've interviewed.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, he's not my number one choice either, but he is, in terms of, he's not my number one choice as a head coach, but in terms of wanting someone on the staff, no matter what the role is, he might be my number one person. Let's put it that way. And him and Glenn might be fighting it out with Flores right behind them.
This one is from Bo. A couple minutes left with Robbie here. I'm fully challenging B-Man to find a coach with a higher winning percentage than Tomlin that's available to us right now. If not, stop talking. Look, for the record, I don't think Pittsburgh's going to move on from Tomlin. I don't think they're dumb enough to do that. Maybe it's gotten stale and stagnant and they make more coaching staff changes, but I don't think Tomlin's going anywhere. I mean, ultimately, they lost in the playoffs to a team that was a 10-point favorite against them on the road. So I don't think they're going to fire Tomlin, and I don't think they're going to get rid of him. But if he's available, I mean, Robbie, it's a no-brainer to me.
Same. I would bring in Tomlin in a heartbeat. He not only, despite what you think of him, he will have a good staff. And having a great O-line coach, having a great staff is, 90% of the battle in this league. So, McCown, if you're anti-McCown, that's a major feather in your cap if you're anti-McCown. Can McCown put a good staff together? That's going to be a very, very difficult thing. Tomlin, on the other hand, no worries. I mean, he could do it in a heartbeat.
This one is from the Lup Man. He writes in, the truth is nobody knows who will be a good head coach and fit for us. Only the football gods do. All Asmaniacs needs to hold on for this next crazy ride. It's true.
Yeah, man.
But I could have told you Adam Gase was not going to work out when they hired him. So sometimes you do know.
Yes. Think about it. When you think about the head coaches, what I try to do is put myself in the player's shoes. And when they're receiving the message, do they fully buy in 100% of the time? Or are there times when they look around and they're like, man, this guy kidding? He's full of shit. That's what I think about. And Gase, he definitely falls in the full of shit category at times. Saleh, same thing. Bowles, I don't think so. I just think Bowles needed some more time to understand. He didn't have the quarterback all the time. Fitz had that great year, but he needed Brady. He needed Arians to get to the level he's at now. Rex, the league started changing as more times went on. Rex, on one hand, is genuine. On the other hand, is a showman. So, he's great with motivating guys, but there's other bullshit stuff there. So that's the first thing. That's the starting point. There's a lot of other factors, but that's the starting point. Is this guy authentic, where people buy in and they don't look around and say, this guy's full of shit? Like, who's he trying to kid?
100%. I mean, you got to get it right. That's really the bottom line. Iconical Wear, this is our guy Dirty. He says, knowing Phil Savage, I believe he's doing his homework and doing in-depth research on all the candidates for the GM and head coach. He is thorough. I really like Phil Savage. I think he's a football guy that is a good human, could get along with people. He's been around other organizations. He's basically running the Jet scouting department right now until they hire the full-time people. I'd like to see him remain with the Jets in a front office role if possible. So I'm with you, Dirty. I think that's exactly what Phil Savage is doing. He was just actually at the Hula Bowl down in Orlando, and our friend Connie Carberg was there and took a picture with him, and that was cool to see. So one, shout out to Connie, and two, I like Phil Savage, so I'd have no problem if he remained in the front office.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. Like he's had plenty of GM experience. So is it definite that he'll remain in the front office? It seems like that is the destination.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's going to get the job, but I think he could be in the front office.
No, nor would I want him to get the job, honestly. But imagine in a week's time, Mikey T is named the GM of the Jets. Not going to happen, but it would be a hell of a story.
Is Rex the head coach?
Oh God, imagine
running it back.
Can you imagine, Mikey T? It's a plot all along. It could be made
Sanchez
into a movie.
Up to. Does he want to be the Mark Brunell in this scenario, and he's the veteran mentor that doesn't play, that helps the young quarterback?
Trade for Geno. Take Hackenberg off the scrap heap, and away we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, shout out to A View for coming through for the people. How about a 10 spot of channel membership? Sound the alarms. A View, thank you very much, my man. Unique Islam, Sal Franca, Anthrax, Tim Chubb, Christopher Leon, Video Matt, Tristan Edge, Boris Bakan, Chorus, Mikey Bigham, all just received channel memberships. Give some love to A View for supporting the channel, keeping us afloat, and getting 10 entries in for our next raffle prize, which is an autographed Garrett Wilson helmet, which is pretty cool. If I do say so myself. 25 wants to know. We got a few minutes left here with Robbie.
What is this? I was looking at that. What's Team Beast?
Have you been following the Beastbreaker saga at all on the show?
I saw the one I saw was I saw the original Beastbreaker versus our dude Bobby. That's what I saw.
Well, they have a kinship now, but Beast gets into it with some people in the chat. Some people love him, some people don't like him, but he brings emotions out of people. I bring him on, people say get him off. He's not on. People want him on. So I find myself in a conundrum on what exactly to do with Mr. Beastbreaker.
Where is he? Is he here now? How come he's not on? What's going on?
You want me to unleash the beast? You serious?
Unleash him. Dude,
sure?
Let's hear what he has to say.
All right. Look, you heard Robbie make the decision. This is not me. This is Robbie Sabo.
Holy crap, here comes Beastbreaker 666.
Why don't you get your fat ass on a treadmill and go the distance with me?
Is that Bobby Midnight?
I'm not into politics, and I already told you that.
I might be big, but I'm going to be bad enough to put you out.
Beastbreaker always has some salient points.
Hey, Beast.
Practicing off on some Contra. You remember Contra? 1988 NES?
Yeah, Contra, of course.
That's right, man's choice. But I'm hearing 77 of these candidates, and I'm going, Andy Reid, I like the guy's attitude. He got balls of steel, and he loves his cheeseburgers. Oh yeah. I remember Andy Reid very well. He's got a mean temper, just like I do, but a little bit of a vicious side, which I like. That's what we need. We need men like that with guts and balls and brains. I mean, we got a pussy in the word. We got a pussy in the word. You're nothing but a pile of old gabagoo. Offensive line, defensive line. Offensive line. The first thing I'm going to address.
No more protection from the Asmaniacs. Had to pull you out of the chat and cast you down with the sodomites.
Boys. I shave every day. I also represent real people of Japan. Get out of here now. Let's concentrate on football. Are you seriously on crack? I think somebody's going to call the crack department. Retarded questions. How about you bending over and taking up the booty hole behind the 7-Eleven?
Man.
I know I've seen him before. Wasn't he the guy who stole Miss Elizabeth out of the ring that one time in the late 80s WWE? Anytime I think about him, I think WWF promo. Like, there's no way, Beast. You're a hell of a character. Love you, man.
It's a shame that Jeffrey put him in the hole. So we have a rule on the show. If there's
Who's
a caller
Jeffrey?
on, Jeffrey R. He's a big time listener. He's always gifting memberships for others, supporting the channel, and he's not a Beast guy. And this has been a thing now the last couple shows. Every time Beast is on, Jeffrey knows that we have a universal bounty for callers, that if you gift 10 memberships or send a $50 super chat, we send who's ever on the line to the hole. And Jeffrey just sent Beast to the hole. Now, here's the thing. People have paid to get Beast out of the hole. So if someone $50 super chat or 10 memberships, we'll bring him back. But, man, it's tough to see Beast go down like that.
Yeah, Contra, too. Shout out to Contra. It was great. Contra, Mega Man, Castlevania, Double Dragon. Those were the days, man. And by the way, I'm seeing now George the Animal Steel in the comments. I was thinking King Kong Bundy for Beast. I got the two mixed up, but good call out there. Good call out.
Yeah, it's just, oh, man. I wanted Robbie Sabo to get the Beast experience. You got it for part of it, but
love Beast. He could hop on anytime.
You know, rules are rules. Jeffrey R. had other ideas. All right, real quick. Let's rapid fire through these last super chats here. Brandon says, who did Jake and Robbie want at 7? I like Abdul. That'd be Abdul Carter from Penn State. I'd love that. I don't know if he'll be there at 7. I like the wide receiver from Arizona. Haven't done enough on him, but I like the idea of adding an elite playmaker to this offense because if Devontae's not here, you just have Garrett Wilson in that room and you need more. So I like him. Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan's a name I see linked to the Jets a lot. I think it's likely they go defense or receiver with that first pick. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you. I haven't really, they got to find, I've been all coach and GM so far, but it's tough to not go D-line here, to be honest. Based on the names, Graham, the Penn State kid, it's going to be tough. And I think, the top interior D lineman should be up for play too, because who's that kid? He's a big boy and he could be a run stopper. Banks, is it? Banks Jr. So in other words, there's a lot of options right now, the way it's playing out, and D line has to be the favorite in the clubhouse.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of the sweet spot they're in, right? Like they're kind of in that spot to maybe get one of those guys. I mean, best player available at that spot too makes sense, but
their
best player available on defense, it's a perfect fit.
Their D-line has been, it was atrocious this year. It was awful. It was especially awful based on trying to run the scheme they were running. Like there's just not enough versatility. They need run fillers. Yes, they need edge guys too, but they need guys who can play both the run and the pass.
Completely agree. Yep. Les with a super chat. What is your prediction for the timing of the GM and head coach hire? I think a GM could be hired by the end of the weekend. I've been saying that, I think, between Friday and Sunday, because I think this week they are going to start the second round of GM interviews. I mean, Tennessee's got an opening for GM too. They're starting their second round. They've interviewed. The Jets have 13 candidates. There's a couple more they have still got to speak with. But I think by the end of the week, they're going to start second round interviews, and maybe we get a GM by the end of the weekend.
Yeah, agreed. GM's going to happen pretty quickly, I think.
You think so?
I'm right at the same timeline as you. I think by early next week. Grigson. I'm going to keep looking into Grigson because, again, that's alarming to me. The way he built outside in with luck, really alarming. So Borgonzi is probably my default guy, but I honestly don't have a strong feeling one way or the other right now.
I think Borgonzi, I mean, if you want him, you got to be prepared to move because Tennessee's bringing him in for a second interview already. If he's their guy and the Jets are like, we're not sure, you gotta wait.
Yeah, it's admittedly I'm still stuck on GM. I don't know what the right path is.
Yeah, look, they go the experience route. I think they've talked to some good guys with experience. Grigson aside, Dimitrov is my choice. I like Spielman too for a first timer possibility. Maybe more so for like kind of the director of football ops overseeing a GM, or maybe like Greenberg is the GM, and then like I know Joe Caporoso has suggested this. Dimitrov would be that like overseer of the football operation. Like maybe they make 2 front office hires. That'd be exciting.
Yeah, you kind of take it in the mold of the way basketball, the NBA works with the president and GM. Hockey kind of has gone the same way too.
Carolina did that with their search last year. They kind of hired 2 key front office guys.
Yeah, and I like Borgonzi because he does have a scouting background. He does have a recruiting scouting background. Greenberg, let's check out. I haven't really done much on Greenberg, to be honest. I think I unintentionally, but subconsciously throw him out because I think of ESPN's Mike Greenberg.
Yeah. I mean, he is qualified though. I mean, as far as his resume with the Bucks and all that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think by the next time I'm on next Tuesday, we're gonna have a pretty good idea.
Just announced the New York Jets have requested an interview with Commanders DC Joe Witt. First head coaching interview for Witt who came with Dan Quinn from Dallas and has been a, quote, integral part of Washington's turnaround, says Tom Pelissero, who I'm sure got that directly from the agent of, you guessed it, Joe Witt Jr. I mean, look, request names, fine. Interview whoever you want. But where is the tweet from one of these reporters? The Jets will interview Mike McCarthy, Pete Carroll, John Gruden. For the love of God, interview these guys. You can't. I don't know anything about Joe Witt Jr. I'm sure he's a nice guy. No one, I think, is talking about Joe Witt Jr. being a possible head coach. Tom Pelissero says this is his first head coaching interview. This feels like a favor for the agent. Like, get my guy out there this cycle. So maybe a year from now, if the Commanders stay relevant and successful with Jaden Daniels, Witt could eventually be a coaching candidate, beyond 2025 into 2026. Like, oh my God, give me a goddamn break. Interview Mike McCarthy, John Gruden, Pete Carroll, who's done 2 interviews already with other teams with openings, but the Jets, who are a joke, can't talk to him. Unless someone calls me from the Jets and tells me Pete Carroll said, I'm good, I'm not interested. What are we doing?
See, that's for those who are pro experience and anti not experience, that's the best case. The best case is the guys with experience could assemble the best coaching staffs as a whole. And a lot could be said for that. That's what was missing with the Jets for the last, in the Saleh era, Gase era for sure. Gase era was weird. They had 2 head coaches. Williams was the defensive head coach. Gase was the offensive head coach. I've never seen anything like it. And up close and personal, I watched it. It was insane. But the Saleh coaching staff was not good, man. It was just not good. Guys like Carroll, Tomlin, man, they could assemble a coaching staff that is tremendous from day one.
Sorry, I'm trying to fire off a very angry
McCarthy
right
too.
Now. For the love of God, please interview Mike McCarthy, Pete Carroll, and John Gruden.
Yeah. And by the way, Mike Greenberg
at Woody Johnson.
Oh, you're doing the at stuff. You're doing the mentions. Oh man.
Please.
Dude means business.
God. Tannenbaum follows me on Twitter too.
Hey now.
Let's go.
I think Woody follows JetX. Obviously, he listens to everything we say. Everyone knows this.
You guys are actually running the Jets.
We're the reason why they suck. We're the reason why they suck so
much.
No,
they listened to you guys. They'd be in the playoffs. They would have signed a backup last year. All this.
Hey, you're preaching to the choir. What can I tell you? But it looks like Mike Greenberg has a financial background. I didn't fully realize that. I thought it was more mixed. So I immediately, knowing Woody, put Greenberg as maybe the favorite. We'll see.
Here's my tweet to everyone watching live. I'm putting it in the live chat, so please retweet, spread the word. We know Woody might listen. Brick might listen. I can't. I have no problem with interviewing as many people as possible, but you can't interview Mike Locksley and these other guys who aren't qualified to be head coaches and not at least talk to the 3 guys now with McCarthy out there that want back into the league in the case of Gruden and Carroll, and McCarthy, who's just in the league and has been a good coach.
Well, especially Carroll, because, okay, you understand Gruden. Personally, I don't, but you understand if you want to stay away from Gruden, not rock the boat. Okay, Flores is also suing the league, but he's already in the league, so that's not, you don't have to worry about that so much. Carroll, what is the reason for not? Is there no interest on Carroll's part? That's the thing we don't know. I mean, maybe there's no interest on his part, but I haven't heard that whatsoever.
What are we doing, man?
Anything on McCarthy, by the way, other than what Cimini said, that he's interested?
No, that's it.
Yeah,
he would be interested.
We got to hear something. I mean, if they're going to interview McCarthy, it's got to be today, tomorrow, like right away.
Oh my God, just interview guys with rings on their finger. Jimbo with our last super chat here for Sabo. Fellas in chat, I hope all is well. Big Glenn fan after watching the Pivot podcast with him. With Borgonzi, my wanted GM head coach, knowing quarterbacks go trade down from 7. Knowing quarterbacks go trade down from 7. Yeah, typically quarterbacks obviously do go, but not this year. It doesn't feel like there's a team that's trading up for the third quarterback at number 7. I don't see
Yeah,
it.
man. Yeah, man. And even the top two, Sanders and Cam Ward, to me, there's a lot of question marks with those two. Knowing the way the draft works, they will go 1-2 because despite how good these quarterbacks are, they get pushed up to the top. It's a lotto ticket. These GMs know if they take them and it doesn't work, they can easily move on. It's not like the old days where one missed quarterback destroys an entire franchise. It's not like that anymore. So, agreed. Agreed. The quarterbacks aren't that great. I could see that happening.
Robbie, thank you for hopping on. Before you leave, though, there is a not a super chat. It's a regular comment that needs to be addressed immediately.
Oh.
Greg, we had Pete Carroll once. No thanks. Greg, thank you for being today's Shadow Realm candidate of the day.
Into the Shadow Realm you go. I don't really look too much into like who we're going after and all of this stuff, but as long as like we're not getting no Jets guys, like I'm good. Let's get this thing done.
What you saying, huh? That's what I'm talking about.
Dude, we had Pete Carroll in 94 who oversaw the fake spike game, and guess who the cornerback was? Aaron Glenn. No,
by
thanks
the way,
Aaron Glenn.
We had Pete Carroll. He was the coach for a year with a different ownership group. If he wants in, talk to him. Pete Carroll's won everywhere the guy has been.
He wasn't ready. He was young.
Yeah, and then he went to USC, then had an unbelievable run there, unbelievable run in Seattle. The guy's a culture builder.
Went to New England first. Like, think about Carroll's career. Was with the Jets for a year, got off to a 6-5 start, first place against Miami. The fake spike happens. Aaron Glenn is on the other side of it. So should we ignore Aaron Glenn? No. Then Pete goes to New England, doesn't really do much. He precedes Belichick. So at that point, he goes to college. Everyone thinks Carroll's done. Like, okay, he didn't work out in the NFL. He's a college coach. He's doing great in USC. Comes back to the NFL and shocks the hell out of everybody with Seattle. So every time you count him out, he proves you're wrong. And that's the type of leader you gotta be attracted to.
I mean, we're talking to guys that, with all due respect, aren't qualified to be head coaches. So talk to some guys that are. If you want to talk to this Witt guy and some of these other guys, fine, no issue with that. Pick their brains. You may be talking about positions on the coaching staff with them if they're not the head coach. But I don't want to hear about this like no stones unturned search. And Woody Johnson was quoted to the New York Post calling it this is a transformative process they have, or whatever the heck he said. You have guys out there with great resumes, and you're not talking to them. I'm sorry. I'm not. It's not acceptable. I'm not gonna not lose my crap on this. Great. They end up hiring Aaron Glenn. Awesome. I'll root for him. I think he's a good candidate. But or Brian Flores, same thing. Great. I know they got to interview him this week. But what are we doing, man? What are we doing when you got 3 guys out there that have Super Bowl rings on their finger that automatically would be one of the best coaches the Jets have ever had the second they walk through the building?
The PR game of saying, we're not interested in this guy because we already know he's not interested in us. Maybe that happened with Ben Johnson. Maybe it didn't. That game doesn't get you anywhere. So, and I'm not saying the Jets are doing that religiously, but if they are, it doesn't get you anywhere because it, again, eliminates opportunities. Carroll represents the type of guy they need perfectly, a CEO type who is a leader, who holds guys accountable. Is he more on the player side, in terms of a coach? Sure. But, he has gotten it done in so many regards, college and the pros. You know how difficult that is? Like, it is beyond difficult. He's old, yes, but what if you have Carroll at head coach and McCown as OC and another impressive guy as DC calling the plays on both offense and defense? That's a great situation moving forward, when and if Carroll retires. So, yeah, man, if he's interested, they really need to interview him.
I completely agree. Robbie, longer one that we've done. Appreciate you as always. Plug Jet X again because it's Jet X Day on the channel, and we have Michael Nania joining us in the 4 p.m. hour today.
The Chronicles of Narnia coming your way. JetX, jetsxfactor.com on your web browser, and JetX Mobile on iPhone, Android. Get yourself a membership. Awesome discount with promo code ASMAN, Asman, and away you go.
Mr. Sabo, God bless you, sir. Thank you for everything.
To my Asmaniacs. Bye-bye.
The great Robbie Sabo. JetsXFactor.com is the place to be. John LG, who won an item from the merch store in yesterday's big raffle. John picked a Jake Asman Show polo to match the black one he already has. He went with a white one, and I was multitasking during the show. I sent it out to him during this program. How many candidates are paying the 3013 to be prepared for these interviews? I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, the Loxley one, and now what's the guy's name? Joe Witt Jr., the Commanders DC, when Dan Quinn, by the way, is the defensive coach there. That just feels like a favor. So could we stop maybe doing favors and, I don't know, talk to guys who have really good resumes? Mike McCarthy, 174, 112-2, won a Super Bowl. 12 career playoff appearances, 3 12-win seasons with Dallas. Did make the playoffs there 3 of his 5 years. The 2 years he didn't, they had injuries to Dak, right? His first year and obviously this past year. And this year he actually did a pretty good job. It wasn't even just Dak that got hurt. Their whole defense got hurt. Micah missed so much time. Lawrence missed a lot of time on their defense. So they were down Parsons and Lawrence for a lot of the year. And, they finished 7-10, but they were playing hard for him. They were good. Like with Cooper Rush at quarterback. We know he hasn't won the big one in the playoffs since, his Super Bowl with Rodgers, but talk to him, man. Oh, my God. Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Comments, questions, super chats. We're seeking more channel memberships for the Garrett Wilson raffle signed helmet. If you get the membership, you're in for 1. If you send a $20 super chat, you're in for 5. That easy to be a part of it. Also have the Super Bowl 3 ring, the Rodgers jersey, and other prizes as well. All right, here's what I want to do right now. I've been wanting to play this on the show. You guys know that I think John Gruden should definitely get an interview. I just think if we're evaluating options for the Jets, you can't tell me that at the bare minimum, you don't talk to Gruden. I was listening to Sal Paolantonio yesterday. Sal Pal was a guest on the Michael Kay show on ESPN New York, and Kay asked him his thoughts on the Cowboys opening and who they should hire. And Sal Pal said, John Gruden. And I'm thinking, yeah, John Gruden is a good leader, could probably handle Jerry Jones, and I feel like the same way with Woody. But, all right, seemingly they're not going to interview him. But for those who are maybe anti-Gruden or don't think the Jets should talk to him, I'm going to play you something that Barstool Sports produced, and you tell me after watching this if you're not at least a little more open to the idea of the New York Jets, at least having the conversation with Chucky.
Okay, this is Big T here at left tackle. Clap your hands if you're with me. Big T, you're the left tackle. Who's the left guard? I need a volunteer. Left guard right here, Spider. 3 claps if you're with me. Who's the center? You're the center. Big. Oh, Frank the Tank. It might as well be Dwight Stevenson. I want Frank the Tank. He's the center. Spider, you're in a 2-foot split. Big T, you're a 2-foot split outside of Spider. You got me? Who's the right guard? I need a volunteer. Okay, Mintz, you got the right guard. There you are, 2-foot split right next to Frank the Tank. I need a right tackle. Liam, take it. I'll take it. Come on, you got it right tackle. I want all 5 of you guys. You're always to the right. You're always to the left. You're always the right guard. You're always the left guard. Everybody got it? Everybody's on the line of scrimmage, 2-foot splits. We look sharp, yes? Yes. Frank the Tank, you got the ball. Okay, who's the tight end? Need a tight end, need a Y. I got you. I just need your name. Oren Vite. Let's all hear it for Oren. Hell yeah, baby. Okay, the formation is going to be called snug. This is the name of the formation. Snug right, the Y, you're the Y, tight end. You line up off the ball, right outside the right tackle if it's snug right. You're off the ball. Who's the Z? Who's my Tim Brown? What's your first name? Debo. That's right. Okay, you're the Z. I want you in a 3-yard split from the tackle. You're on the ball. You're the Z. If I say snug right, the Y and the Z go to the call. If I say snug left, which side would you go to? Snug left, which way would you go? Everybody got it. 3 claps if you're with me. Do these guys ever change? Do they ever change? The offensive line. Never. If you're the right tackle, you're always the right tackle. Left tackle is always the left tackle. Now, I need another tight end because I love tight ends. You got it, Big T. You're the F tight end. you go away from the call and you're off the ball. So if I say snug right, where do you go? Snug left, where do you go? You go away from the call, you're off the ball. You're just outside of Big T, okay? Now, who's the X? Stephen Shea. Where's Stephen? You're the X. I need you. You're a lot like Keyshawn Johnson. A little bit hard to coach, a little bit hard on me. But you're in a 3-yard split from Big T. Everybody got it? The wide receivers are in snug. You with me? The Y is off the ball and the F is off the ball. Everybody got it? Okay, you're the quarterback. You're going to be right here behind the center. Obviously, we're going to be in a shotgun. Everybody got it? Now, who's the running back? There you go, right here. Let's go, Jacob. Okay, now, you're going to be offset. I'm going to have to help you here. When we call 72 protection, you go to the left. If I call 73 protection, you go to the right. You just got to remember this. That's why you're getting paid the big bucks. The formation is snug right. Everybody got it? The play is 72. That's the protection. All that matters is Frank the Tank, my running back and the quarterback got to know. The play is 72 double bench. Knock on wood if you're with me, everybody. Okay, the Z and the X, I want you guys to get a release. I want you to push up the field to 20 yards and you're breaking out to the sideline. How deep? 20. If you get hung up a little bit on the line of scrimmage, reduce your depth. Have a clock in your head. Everybody got it. But I'd like to get off clean and get 20 yards. Flying! You with me? Both wide receivers, how deep? 20. Now, my Y and my F, these defensive ends are a pain in the ass. Our tackles need help, right, Big T? You guys are going to chip that defensive end with your inside flipper. If he speed rushes Big T, you knock his ass off. You guys got that? And then you release into the flat. Everybody got that? Yep. All right. What's the Y going to do to this defensive end?
He's going to fuck him up.
He's probably going to use his left flipper. You're going to flip the shit out of him and you're going to run a flat. Everybody got it? I'm calling this play for cover 2. I'm expecting Buffalo to be in cover 2. And we're going to high-low this corner right here. That's what we're going to do. If that corner sinks underneath the bench, where are we going to throw the ball? Throw the ball flat. What if this flat defender, he tries to cover that? What are we going to do? Throw the bench. We're going to high-low that corner. 3 claps if you're with me. Now, running back. You're going to check your protection, and you're going to run a check option. You're going to hook over the ball if it's zone, face the quarterback. So if the quarterback doesn't like that, we go right to that. You got that, quarterback? It's a 5-step, 1-hitch drop for you. You drop back to pass. You eyeball that corner. Try to get him to sink deep, throw it flat. Try to get him to bite here, throw it there. If you don't like either, go right here. Against the zone, what do?
Yes. The quarterback.
Turn around, face the quarterback 3 to 4 yards deep. Station.
Down option.
Okay. Now, what's the option? If this linebacker, like one of these assholes like Will Compton's playing linebacker, and he covers you, you break here or you can break there. If it's a zone, sit, face the quarterback. But if he comes looking for you, you whoop his ass on a check option route. You go either way. You got it? They could play cover 2 man underneath, you see, and it might be a man-to-man break for you. All right, last thing real quick. If, let's just say this, if we come out and snug right, everybody got it? And let's just say they come out in a single high look. Do I want 72 double bench for this?
No.
No. We're going to kill it with 300 jet sticky. You guys with me? Yes. And now I want these guys, if you guys hear kill, the Z is going to run a 4 to 6 yard stick out. Everybody got it? Yes. The X is going to run a 4 to 6 yard stick out. The tight end, the Y and the F, you guys are going hard to the flat. Free release, just go. You with me? Yes. In the back, you check right over the ball. Can you handle that? So it's 2 plays. I don't want 72 bench unless it's what coverage? Cover 2. If it's cover 3,
kill.
Where's the quarterback? Huddle call. Hey, snug right, 72 bench, kill it with 300 jet sticky. Say it. Come on, we got a couple,
Snug right, 72 double bench, kill it with jet sticky.
300 jet sticky.
More gusto.
You sound like a freaking, come on. Snug right, 72 double bench, kill 300 jet sticky.
Snug right, 72 double bench, kill with the right jet sticky. 300 jet sticky.
You guys feel what we're doing here?
We got it.
Everybody got it? Now listen, here's the snap count. Come on, Cody. The snap count is like this. Set up. Blue 85. Blue 85. Set up. Let me hear it.
Blue 85.
Set hut first. Jesus.
Set hut. Blue 85. Blue 85. Set hut.
Good. Now, here's the deal. What coverage are we looking for on 72 double bench?
Cover 2.
So you can say, hey, set hut. Take your time. Hey, we're good. We're good. We're good. Blue 85. Blue 85, set up. We're running 72 double bench. What if you go up there and say, hey, set up? Now you see him rotating into cover 3, right?
Yeah, kill.
Hey, kill, 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 kill. Blue 85. Blue 85, set up. What play are we running now?
300 jet sticky.
300 jet sticky. I want the tackles, if we go 300 jet sticky, you guys be aggressive, cut their hands down so we get a clean passing lane. This is sophisticated, tough shit now. Right? This ain't no bubble screen clap offense. Let's bring it in here, man. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All right, let's go. Barstool on 3. 1, 2, 3. Barstool. Let's go. See you. This is the real deal now.
Hold up. Snug right, 72 double bench. We're going to kill it with 300 jet sticky on 1. Ready, break!
Outstanding. All right, let's go. Let's go. We got a clock running here. It's cover 2. Cover 2.
Set up. Blue wings up.
Let's go. Here we go.
Set up. Blue 85. Blue 85. Hut.
You know what? There's very little discipline here. Fuck. You know what, man? I'm getting tired of this. Lack of concentration. All right? Effort takes no talent, does it? Here we go. Let's go snug right. 72 double bench. Kill it with 300 jet sticky.
All right, hold up. Snug right, 72 double bench. We're going to kill it with jet right sticky on 1. Ready, break!
All right, it's cover 3. It's cover 3.
All right. Take control. Kill, 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 kill. Set up, blue, spider. Every fucking time. Make it roll. We gotta run gassers. All right. Spider, run a gasser. Kill, kill. Set hut. Blue 85. Blue 85. Hut.
Very good. Last one's got to be perfect.
That was on me.
We don't just have one guy run gassers. We all run. If you don't execute this play perfectly, there's going to be consequences here, man. There's going to be consequences. You'll be cleaning dishes for Chef Donnie for the rest of the week. All right, here we go. Last time now. Good luck to you on this. Let's flip it. Let's go snug left, 73. Double bench. Kill it with 200 jet sticky.
Snug left, 73 double bench. We're going to kill it with 200 jet sticky on 1. Ready?
That's nice. Hey, Steve and Jay, let's go. Let's go, Jay.
Come on, Jay, on the ball.
That's good, guys. Good.
Set hut.
Cover 2.
Cover 2, cover 2. Set hut. Blue 85. Hut.
Let's get a break here, man. Hey, let's, everybody, man. Let's focus our concentration here on getting better. Get better on 3. 1, 2, 3. Get better. Great job.
All right, come on, man. Give the guy an interview. Give the guy a damn interview. At least if he's not a head coach, he'll keep making awesome content at Barstool, because that's just fascinating to watch, man. Bunch of normal people learning how to run a football play. I mean, Gruden's awesome. He just give the guy an interview, man. The guy's a leader, energy, enthusiastic. The fan base would get behind it. Oh, my God. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that for those who haven't seen it. All right, let's get to your calls right now. I'll stay on a little while longer. We're going to be back in the 4 p.m. hour today with Michael Nania from JetsXFactor.com, the other co-founder. It's JetX Day on the channel. Once again, if you want to gift the membership, you're in on our next raffle, a Garrett Wilson signed helmet. Curly with a comment here. Amazing the Commanders coach we're interviewing is the DC and not Kingsbury joke. I look, maybe Cliff told him he's not interested. I guess. I mean, they interviewed him when they hired Gase. I don't know. But, I mean, look, Joe Witt Jr., I don't want to, knock the guy. Interview him, fine. But he's not getting this job. So I have zero problems with the Jets interviewing a ton of candidates. But at the very least, McCarthy, Carroll, Gruden, they got to be on the list. They got to be on the list. You're interviewing everyone except some of the top guys. All right, let's get to some calls now. Gusbuster hotline's open. If you go to gusbuster.com, you could purchase the best umbrella in the universe. And you could use the promo code Jake, so you'll get 15% off on any of your umbrellas. Let's say hello to Ricky NY. What's up, Ricky?
Hey, what's happening, Jake? I agree with you about some of the candidates, and I'm just going to call a spade a spade. The Loxley thing, obviously he has some kind of connection with somebody in the 33rd team, and they did him a favor to try to rehab his image. That guy's not a serious candidate, and I do agree that it's kind of a waste of time to even talk to him. That being said, I heard what you said about Flores. Maybe he's learned, maybe he's changed. I don't want to roll the dice on a maybe. To me, Glenn is the top candidate, and it's
but you'd
much
be rolling the dice on him. He's never been a head coach. Robert Saleh was the top candidate too.
I get that. However, the thing is, Glenn has paid his dues. He's worked his way up the ranks, and there's a lot to be said for that. And I just think in this current situation, he's going to be our best option. I have a funny feeling that Flores is going to end up in Chicago, and he's going to do to Caleb what he did to Tua, and it's going to be a big ass disaster. And I'm going to be glad that we didn't take him. But yeah, I totally think that Glenn is the guy. I think that some inside the Jets probably know that Glenn is the guy, and it would we're going to have to wait until they're all done before it's announced. But there's a reason that Aaron Glenn is one of the hottest names this coaching cycle. And like I'll say it again, he's been in the league a long time and he's paid his dues, and I'm big on paying your dues. Like I don't want somebody that's lacks experience, and like the McCown thing. I like McCown as a person, but I don't think he's quite ready to be a head coach yet. I wouldn't mind having, I'll agree with Robbie. I wouldn't mind having Glenn as our coach and having bring in McCown as an OC. If it was me picking, it would probably be Borgonzi, Glenn, and McCown can be the OC. But and it has nothing to do with Glenn being a former player. I've heard everything from I only like Glenn because he was a former player to people saying that we shouldn't hire Glenn because of the fake spike thing, which is like probably the stupidest thing that I've ever heard. At any rate, hopefully, we'll get some news on the GM soon, and knock on wood, this time next month, Aaron Glenn is our head coach.
I like Aaron Glenn, Ricky. I do. I just prefer experience. But if they are going to hire someone without previous head coaching experiences, I see Glenn as a really good candidate. I do. I just but Salo was a really good candidate. So yeah, look, you obviously are taking a risk. I rather Aaron Glenn than Arthur Smith, for example. But I don't know. I prefer someone that's been a head coach before, but I feel like of the options, because they're not going to talk to some of the guys I want them to talk to, it doesn't feel like. Glenn's very high on my list too. He's just not as high as someone who's been a head coach before.
Right. Well, I mean, I think he's the kind of no nonsense coach that we need, and there's a difference between being an a-hole and being no nonsense. And I think that he's familiar with our market, familiar with the media. I think he's cut out for it. The problem with some of these coaches is like Saleh and those guys. First of all, oh my God, the excuse making under Saleh, and it even got worse under Ulbrich. Awful. And the problem with some of these coaches is they think they're the smartest guy in the room all the time. And when they get in that mindset and they're so stubborn that they refuse to change, they refuse to adjust, even what they're doing is not working. I think that guys like a McVay, like maybe he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, but he knows that the guy in the other room that he's up against is also a smart guy, and he respects that. So I think that's the difference between some of them. And I don't know. It'll be interesting. Hopefully they get this right. And, we don't end up with a Nagy and Nagy GM and coach combination or something. God, that would be awful. But, fingers crossed, God willing, we get this right. And I would like nothing more for, this time next month, Aaron Glenn to be our coach.
Yeah, look, Ricky, I know you've been on the Glenn train for a while. It's fair. He's a good candidate. He is. And I like that he's a former Jet. I just get nervous with a first-time defensive-minded head coach. We haven't done that before. Ugh. Never tried that. Steven NYC with a super chat. Jake, long time. Thanks for all years staying true. If Gruden gets his chance with anyone, he'd work so hard to succeed. Wouldn't players and New York love him? Yeah, I think so. I think so, for sure. And I think it's crazy when people are like, he's a racist, he's a misogynist. Like, he's not. He's not. All right? First off, the guy has apologized for that. And these were private emails that never should have even came out in the first place. He called Roger Goodell an anti-football P-word. And I truly think Goodell's behind none of these teams even talking to Gruden. I feel like he's blackballed. I do. And there was a report that a bunch of teams were doing work on Gruden, but no one's interviewed him. Okay, well, explain Pete Carroll. He's interviewed for 2 jobs. The Jets can't interview Pete Carroll. We can interview Mike Loxley and Joe Witt Jr. and these guys that have no chance of getting the job. It's just it's frustrating. Look, if they end up with Aaron Glenn, it's a good candidate. Like it's he's a solid choice. But I just, I heard that this search is going to be wide ranging and they're going to talk to everyone. And it's like, you're not talking to some of the people who are out there with better resumes than most of the candidates you've spoken to. And also, like, what Gruden said, like, I'm not condoning it, but like, he obviously has apologized. These were private things. I don't think he said anything that other people haven't said in their group texts or private chats too. It just, I mean, last I checked, Ray Rice was allowed to play football again. Tyreek Hill is allowed to play football. Von Miller is allowed to play football. There's guys that have done things way worse than anything Gruden said, and he can't coach again? I mean, come on. At least if the Jets sucked with any of these guys, because we'll never be good. It'd be entertaining, especially with Gruden. All right, a couple more of your calls, and then we'll wrap. A couple of people have been asking where the Beast is. I think Jay Quest asked about it. I just saw. The Beast is currently in the hole. He was put there by Jeffrey R. And I want the Beast to come back, but rules are rules. The Beast wrote to me that he's ready. He privately messaged me that, but rules are rules. He's in the hole. More of your calls right now. Kyle Clifton's up next. What's up, Kyle?
Hey, Jake. I'm all for talking to McCarthy, for sure. I don't understand why he wouldn't be on the list. I think we might understand why Gruden and Carroll might be on the list. Might not be on the list. One is behavioral. The other one is more ageist. Whether we agree with those reasons or not, I guess we understand that there might be reasons out there. When you go to the mat for Sal and say he didn't have a QB for all these years and we had to see what he was like to see if he could succeed, that's the same way I feel about Matt Nagy.
Fair. But why is the Chiefs' offense, since Nagy's been back, not been the same offense 2 years?
I don't know. They're bringing in some rookies, decline of some key players. There could be a whole bunch of reasons on it. But if you look at the offensive personnel that Bears team had, it was not terrific.
What do you like about Nagy so much, though? Like, I'm not saying he's a terrible coach or would automatically be a bad coach with the Jets, but like, of the guys out there, why is he the guy you like so much? 2-time
playoffs. Won 12 games right out of the box.
Wasn't one of those playoff years, though, like 8-8?
It was. He had a tremendous defense there. But I mean, playoffs is the playoffs. I mean, if we're gonna turn our nose up at 8-8 as Jet fans, I don't know what we're really doing. You know, Salah couldn't sniff 8-8. Like that. That's just why I'm saying like.
Look, he's a better coach than Salah, obviously, but we're not trying to get a better coach than Robert Salah. The bar is pretty low.
We're trying to get a good football coach who might have some value the second time around, especially if he were properly aligned. That's all I'm saying. But the fact of the matter is, he did have Mr. Trubisky in Chicago. And what a rookie? Do you have a rookie Fields?
He had rookie Fields, but I mean,
last year,
the offense got worse, and I don't know, just maybe we got to bring someone on from Chicago to give us a breakdown of what Matt Nagy was like.
I'm just trying to get him a fair shake because he's being mentioned in the same thing as Arthur Smith, and I don't mind talking to Arthur Smith either, but I don't think he's the guy. He's way down my list. But I think some of these guys that have been head coaches before, we can't say that we want an offensive guy and we want a guy with experience and then poo-poo these guys. That's what I'm saying.
True, but now there's a guy in Mike McCarthy who's an offensive guy with Super Bowl experience.
He should be on their list, and it's kind of criminal that they haven't, especially since he's expressed interest. They should be talking to him.
Look, it just happened yesterday. For all we know, they have, and it hasn't gotten out. But I will be incredibly disappointed if they don't at least sit down and talk with the guy. You can't sell me on this being a wide-ranging search and not talk to a guy who dealt with Jerry Jones and the Cowboys and everything that comes with that job and won 12 games 3 of his 5 years there. At least I know they didn't win in the playoffs, but that's not only McCarthy behind that. And I'm sorry, I'm not worried about the playoffs right now as a Jet fan. I'm worried about getting a real coach in here and getting us out of hell. Establishing a culture, these young guys learning how to win games before they all are gone and not going to be Jets anymore. That's what I'm talking about.
It makes me think there might be something to what the Hamburger said. I don't know if it was the other day or whatever, that maybe there's a directive from management that don't bring in anyone with links to Rodgers because we want to move past it.
That's just ridiculous.
That's speculation. You can't have it both ways. You can't say publicly in the media, hey, we're going to do whatever the GM wants, and then limit your search based on who has ties to Rodgers and who may or may not have ties to Rodgers. That's all I had. Thanks, Jake.
Kyle, good call. Yeah, I'm with you. It's frustrating. JV says, I love how so many are now on the McCarthy train. When I was talking about McCarthy months ago, it was dismissed by all, including Jake. Let me say this, JV. You were ahead of the curve on McCarthy. McCarthy, if you asked me in October about Mike McCarthy, I would say no way. He won me over a lot this year with the way his team played for him after Dak got hurt and Micah Parsons got hurt and DeMarcus Lawrence got hurt. I mean, it was impressive. And you also know that that's such a hard job, right? We're talking about Jerry, who's meddling. He's also the GM. So, yeah, he's going to meddle. He owns the team, but he's also the GM. The spotlight and scrutiny that's on him. He didn't have a contract all year. He was a lame duck. And that team never quit on him. They could have quit on him easily and said, Dak's hurt. Micah Parsons hurt. We're going to suck now. Our coach is probably not going to be here next year. He's a lame duck with no contract. He won me over. And also, here's why I also, feel like McCarthy's a good candidate. I'm looking at some of the other names the Jets have interviewed. They haven't spoken to Carroll. They haven't spoken to Gruden. They haven't spoken to Monken. If we're going to go first-time offensive-minded coach for a change. They haven't spoken to Liam Cohen. They didn't speak to Ben Johnson. They haven't spoken to Cliff Kingsbury. So I look at McCarthy, who's now available, and I'm like, yeah, I'm more open to it because I'm looking at the other options. And once Vrabel left, you guys know he was my number one. Now I'm like, yeah, Mike McCarthy. I'd talk to him. I'm not saying you got to hire him, but at least give him an interview, man. He might win you over in the room. That's all we're saying here. I mean, God. Updated Jets head coaching list. Interviewed so far: Aaron Glenn, Matt Nagy, Ron Rivera, Rex Ryan, Steve Spagnuolo, Jeff Ulbrich, Darren Rizzi, Mike Loxley. Requested, meaning they likely speak to these guys this week: Brian Flores, Josh McCown, Joe Brady. Brady I like. Talk to him. Arthur Smith, Vance Joseph. Hopefully he's distracted if the Jets talk to him this week for the Bills playoff game on Sunday. Vance Joseph, Joe Witt Jr., Bobby Slowick, and Brian Greasy. Bobby Slowick, Peter Castro's favorite candidate. I believe his name is Slow Dick, not Slowick. God. All right, couple calls, and then we wrap. Hit the like button. Last chance to get the membership. Garrett Wilson signed helmet is our next giveaway following yesterday's successful raffle number 11. We're on to raffle number 12. Let's say hello right now to a guy who always has his eyes on the prize.
I got my Iron UJ. I hope you like my Jets take. You know they call me David T. It's not easy for me to see, but if you bring me full stream, you might like what I had to say. I'll need to get real damn close, cause my vision is dog shit.
Hi, Jake.
Hello, David.
Hey, I definitely respect Ricky New York's opinion, and he's going to stick to his guns, and he really should, I think. But talking about McCarthy, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it has. I mean, with the Jets situation, it has nothing to do with, or I would think it would have nothing to do with, working with Aaron Rodgers or whatever. That could be almost a foregone conclusion, that they're not going to bring Rodgers back. But I keep thinking this on my mind, and you said about working with Jerry Jones, and the other day you said, Mike McCarthy can assemble a good coaching staff, and so it doesn't make sense for him not to interview. But I got on, and you and Robbie were talking about Josh McCown and the emotion and crying and everything. The other day when you were on with Gary, and Gary was giving you a tussle, about all that, and Gary felt that, a professional coach or professional athlete shouldn't be crying and all that kind of stuff. So me being a lot older than you guys, I just think back to, I was born and raised near Philly. Dick Vermeil. He used to, I don't remember all that much about it. He used to cry at the drop of a hat, in press conferences and whatever, and highly emotional. And he seemed to be a pretty darn good coach.
You're 100% right, David. 100%. Now, the key is for the Jets to find their version of a Dick Vermeil. Wouldn't that be nice?
Oh my God, he was. Excuse me. He was just terrific. I mean, and I know that with the Eagles, they went. I think it was '83 that they lost the Super Bowl to Jim Plunkett. But then later on when he went to St. Louis, he did get his Super Bowl. But just a heck of a nice guy. He was a workaholic. They say he used to sleep at the vet, and loved his players, and his players loved him. They were good times back in Philly.
David,
good
repeat
time.
after me. You ready?
Yes.
In West Philadelphia, born and raised, he looks at everybody with one eye gazed.
In West Philadelphia, born and raised, he looks at, I'm sorry.
In West Philadelphia, born and raised, he looks at everybody with one eye gazed.
In West Philadelphia, born and raised, he looks at everybody with one eye gazed.
There you go. Well done. We're coming up
Wow,
with a new rap for you.
You put the pressure on me, Jake.
We're coming up with a new rap song for you, David.
Oh my God. I'm sure Mr. Gator has a whole lot to do with it.
That he does. That he does.
Yeah.
That was Nick Shine who gave us that lyric, though. He's a big fan of yours.
Oh yeah, I like Nick too. But hey, here again, I love it. Just happy to be part of your show, Jake. I love it.
Well, David, keep healing up, all right? We want you to get better.
Yep, thank you. Appreciate that. We'll get there.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great David T.
I got my Iron UJ. I hope you like my Jets take. You know they call me David T. It's not easy for me to see, but if you bring me full stream, you might like what I had to say. I'll need to get real damn close, cause my vision is dog shit.
David's making a deep run in March. I'll tell you that much. He is making a deep run in March. Get ready for the madness. Asmaniac madness. Speaking of Asmaniacs, speaking of Asmaniac madness, ladies and gentlemen, one last call. It's time.
It's Chiefs fan. Guess what? I'm still looking for a job, bitches. It's Chiefs fan. I'm just going to rub my hands together all day. It's Chiefs fan. There's a whole lot of DNA on this couch. Let's hear it for Chiefs fan. Look, it's my dead neighbor that I didn't kill.
Yo, thanks for that, Gator. The nights I barely get any sleep, I'm fully awake. But the nights I sleep more than 9 hours, I feel tired. I never know how. Just don't know, Jake.
Well, how many hours did you sleep?
9 exactly.
Interesting. Very interesting.
If I get less than 7, I feel good.
You thrive on less sleep than more sleep.
Yeah.
What's your routine in the morning, Cheats fan? Do you have some coffee?
I get up, use the restroom, get a cup of tea brewing, peppermint tea with some honey.
You're a tea guy?
Yeah. I woke up a little bit late so I can be on the show. I just decided to take a 15-minute shower instead of the 20-minute shower I usually take. The reason why I do 20-minute shower is my back. When I move, I used to be able to put up with pain, but the winter made it worse. But I just did a good old fashioned poor person meal, chopped up banana and apple slices with a peanut butter and honey sandwich.
Interesting selection there. Say that again. So what did you have?
Chopped up banana and chopped up apple, peanut butter and honey sandwich. I did that because I wanted to be on the show.
Okay, chopped up. Interesting approach.
Well, I chopped them up and mixed them together with a little bit of vanilla Greek yogurt, the 2 fruits. So I chopped the apples up into little spears. But yeah, as the head coach situation goes, Gruden may not be that politically correct for everything he's been saying, but man, he sure knows his football. And people are too afraid that they're going to get canceled by the cancellation mob.
I mean, there's just guys in the NFL that have made mistakes that are playing. Nobody bats an eye. This guy had private emails linked from over a decade ago in an investigation that had nothing to do with him. It involved the Washington Redskins at the time. He lost his job. I mean, come on.
Look at my wide receiver. He injured a toddler and 3 other people and got to play. And then karma took him out for the season. And then they're finally going to decide. The NFL will do a slap on the wrist if you do abuse. But if you gamble or smoke pot, you're gone for a year. It's messed up, man.
It's very frustrating.
People like Gruden can change. He's apologized for everything. He's came out and became a better man. So could you imagine him with a quarterback on you guys? I don't know, but I have a feeling that New York's too much of a liberal market to bring him in, though.
Nah, I don't think that's a problem.
But if they were to bring him in, even with Tyrod Taylor, I see you guys winning 10 games because it's Gruden. Same thing with Tomlin. McCarthy, I'm iffy on. But if McCarthy can put up with Jerry Jones and have Cooper Rush win him those games, you can win games with Tyrod Taylor.
What are your thoughts on Matt Nagy as a Chiefs fan?
I want him shot into the sun. I'm tired of him ruining my quarterback.
What has he done that has ruined Mahomes? I find that hard to believe.
Mahomes has had less touchdowns. We suck offensive wise. We usually blow our opponents out by 120 points or more by the end of the year. We blow them out by maybe 50 or 60 by the end of the year. Our offense has been stagnant. And Nagy is, sorry for the language, just a worthless piece of shit.
Damn.
He's ruining my offense.
Strong. I mean, your team was 15-1 in the regular season.
Yeah, but like I like more blowouts. I like when my quarterback throws 40 touchdowns.
Must be nice. You like more blowouts. Forget just winning games. You want to make sure you win in blowout fashion and your quarterback throwing 40 touchdowns.
Yes. I'm like, if we're gonna three-peat this year, we needed to be more dominant. And what's scary is I honestly think I'm worried about I'm not worried about the Bills because right here for Buffalo, but I'm just worried about the Ravens if we face them.
That Chiefs fan, it says in your little description there, Happy Taco Tuesday. What time approximately will you be eating tacos?
Tonight for dinner. And I also put LOL Vikings, even though I put $10 down on them. Because we were making fun of the Vikings all last night in their friendly group chat to play Magic the Gathering. And we kept on doing the lights are blinding me or I'm seeing ghosts, and we would send clips from 13 Ghosts, that crappy horror movie, and we would also send clips from that ghost movie. I think it was Patrick Swayze. He dies. You know what I'm talking about, Jake?
I don't think I do.
This guy gets shot and killed, and he's protecting his girlfriend from the beyond, and he's a ghost that goes on a killing spree, basically. I can't remember how it goes, but I know it's a movie from the 80s. The good times.
Tom Ace would like to be invited to the group chat.
It's just local around here. I wish I could have let you, dude. It's just local. My bad, Tom Ace.
Nick Shine would like to get into it too. He's interested.
I know. It's just everyone who plays at the card shop. We have a lot, and I mean a lot of Bills fans at that card shop too. By a lot, I mean 3. Everyone else is either different teams. How one of them's a Seahawks fan, and he doesn't want to talk about the season. I'm the only Chiefs fan there because everyone else doesn't like it. But at least we got 4 or 5 Notre Dame fans there for the championship. I want them to
Ralphie
win for
writes in Dungeons and Dragons legend Chiefs fan.
I used to play that. Speaking of Dungeons and Dragons, I'm slowly building a dragon deck based off of that for Magic the Gathering, and one card just cost me $75 in store credit that I had at the card shop. So, like during COVID, I racked up so much store credit because just locals moved and they were having trouble finding graded Pokemon cards, and I get rid of them.
Are you retired from Street Life, Chiefs fan?
Yeah, it takes a lot to bring that out of me. But like I said, if someone gets racist or I see someone with a Nazi flag, I'll go back to that Street Life real quick.
John wants to know, how does he get out of the group chat with you?
I don't know, man. But I'm just hoping that you guys can get a coach. And if you guys choose Nagy, God bless your souls. Because if you guys choose Nagy, I think I'm not truly retired. There's some situations that I would throw hands for: racism, Nazis, and sexism, or someone trying to take advantage of a girl. I would throw hands on that too.
Chiefs fan is the American hero that we need.
I don't fight as good as I used to be because of my back, but if I do something, I'm just Peaky Blinders took a page out of the Simpsons book where they all dressed up like that British movie where they all dressed up with bats. You know what movie I'm talking about, Jake? I do not know. But they literally have bats, and that would probably be me. Like I'm not in a fighting position, so if I'm gonna fight, I'm just gonna swing a bat like an old man.
Tom A says the hood retired Chiefs fans number to the Raptors.
Yes, please, because I am glad I haven't stepped foot in Chicago since 2019. It was actually 2020, by the way. I got the year wrong. It was 2020. I'm joking with you.
Gator says social justice warrior hero.
I'm not mainly social justice warrior. I'm just doing what I was brought up on. I'm like, I was raised by a hardcore Republican family, even though I have plenty of leftist views, but they always told me, if someone's taking advantage of someone, you knock them out.
Nick Shine says, airing them pits out.
No, I just do this a lot because it helps my back.
I see. Well, I'll tell you what, Cheats fan, I appreciate your time as always. I got to run, but thank you for the call.
Yeah, I should be back on later today unless my friend still needs me to help me to clean up his place. He did 3 10-hour shifts and then 2 8-hour shifts 2 days before that. He's just main chef now at a restaurant. Not going to link the restaurant, but he's getting good money.
Happy
but he's
Taco
doing
Tuesday.
You too. Happy Taco Tuesday.
It's G-Fan.
Guess what? I'm still looking for a job, bitches.
It's G-Fan.
I'm just going to rub my hands together all day.
It's G-Fan.
There's a whole lot of DNA on this couch.
Let's hear it for G-Fan.
Look, it's my dead neighbor that I didn't kill.
Thank you very much, Cheats fan, for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a show. We're back in the 4 p.m. hour today. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for your support. Ladies and gentlemen, here's V-Man calling out Mike Tomlin.
Constantly play down to competition. How the hell did he lose to Zach Wilson when Zach Wilson was fucking trash? Let me finish, okay? Are you...
He's from the West Coast, the golden blonde beauty. Can't live without him, this guy makes me freaky. Aaron, the quarterback, is everyone's sweetie. If he leaves his girlfriend, he'll be my next beefy. Aaron.
The Jets are gonna come back!